the Matt conversation and the Talorx conversation,
Mm-hmm.
and just getting a perspective on what is going on in your part of the world is not something that is often, I guess, available. Readily. So having had the opportunity to hear what you had to say, I found that very interesting. Although I know that people really wanted you to come on for one thing. They wanted Obama.
Okay, I know. Taylor, I'm really happy for you. But let me be clear. I'm gonna let you finish. But Beyonce had one of the best videos of all time. Look, one of the best videos of all time. Listen, let me be clear. I will fuck your mother.
No, how you been, man? How's your are you on Sunday now then?
Do you want me to do the accent? To do the impression? Or should I go back to normal?
Feel free to go back to normal.
Okay, really good though. Really relying on the pretty good though. Yeah, it's because I used to there's this Obama impersonator, and I used to rely on him to learn how to do the Obama impression, and he goes ham on the no. So I live in America. I grew up in America. I might as well be American, right?
Okay.
Yeah, but basically what ended up happening was, so even though I cover South Asian politics 90% of the time on my stream, I'm still far more now it's gotten to a point where when I cover Indian politics or South Asian politics, there are times where I'm so engrossed in that as opposed to whatever's happening in America that but still I grew up on American politics, right? So it's even though I cover Indian politics on a daily basis, I'm still far more familiar with American politics, and because I grew up here and I'm effectively American, right?
Gotcha. Okay.
But the reason I started covering South Asian politics is back in 2016, right? Or 2020, yeah, 2020. It was basically when Bernie Sanders lost the primaries. I remember it vividly, and I was like, well, fuck this shit. Fuck American politics for a little bit. So I might as well check out what's going on in India. And what was going on in India was interesting, to say the least. And I basically started reading a lot. I started reading a lot of news, started reading a lot of, I started reading the Constitution of India just to get a reference for what's going on. And again, it's not like I'm a font of knowledge or anything like that. I don't like it. I'm still just an asshole on the mic, just spitting shit from the heart. But
hey, aren't we all though? I mean, is that what we're doing here? So
why would a Kenyan Hawaiian man study Indian politics? I'm so confused. Oh, that's a good one.
That's JJ.
Oh yeah,
he's a channel favorite around here.
Oh yeah, no, I can tell. I love JJ. JJ's awesome. But yeah, I was as a result, I was like, well, fuck this shit. I gotta figure out what's going on in India. And India is the thing with India is you got to look at it like it's Europe, right? You can't look at it like it's within America. There's a lot of diversity within state to state, right? But then but effectively there's some level of uniformity here and there. Everyone, most people in most states, speak English, right, as a native language, right?
Right.
Which cannot be said for India, right? Um, and so you kind of have to look at it as though like each state is a different country. And so the culture is going to be drastically different as well. And each culture has its own history, right? And so there's a sort of chaos that's going on in India, right? And now Modi's in power, and Modi is basically like he's effectively a fascist, right?
Yeah.
And
Hmm.
he's effectively, when it comes to social policies, he's a fascist, right? But he's basically, I mean, he's not that dissimilar to not a Salvador Allende, what's his name? Pinochet type. He's not that
Right.
similar. He's not that dissimilar to a Pinochet type. He's very like his economic policies have largely been neoliberalization for the most part. India is getting really right wing. It has been for a very long time. That's the problem. It's been right wing since 2014. And the thing is, like, in India, there's like really not an effective opposition. Like the so-called liberal or leftist, or left party or whatever, like
Uh-huh.
the supposed opposition, the Indian National Congress, they've been grossly incompetent, and like they're worse than the Democratic Party. Like to give you an idea, right?
Right.
Um, so it was really, I mean, it was super fascinating learning about all this, and it's like, and the other thing that was really interesting was like, so people like me who are effectively like their origins lie in India, but people who grow up here in the United States, we kind of get looked upon a certain way, and it's like you ain't one of us, mother. Like you're not one of us. Like
Right.
get your nose out of. And it's done by a lot of. I mean, it's done by both left and right wingers for different reasons, right? Right wingers, like when Hassan Minhaj criticizes India, right wingers are obviously not, going to be. They're going to be a little touchy about it, right? To say the least.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, yeah, so that's basically like, and then as I started studying like what was going on in India, and I started, digesting the information, I gained a deeper appreciation of India at its very core, right? Because this is like, there are certain things about India and some of the revolutions that they fought, and some of the massive like social revolutions they had, like the anti-caste revolution in my home state of Tamil Nadu.
Hmm.
What this guy called Bhimrao Ambedkar did, right, in writing the Constitution of India, he uplifted a lot of people from basically in outcast portions of society, right? And it's in a weird, like my late grandmother on my dad's side was weirdly, in a twisted way, correct about she was correct in her prediction, right?
Hmm.
Because growing up I hated going to India, right? Because like all my friends were here, and it was always like a forced family vacation.
Sure.
But then and then my grandmother at some point basically told my dad, like, or she told me basically, like, don't worry, you'll love India at some point, you'll love India. And she ended up being right, but not for the reason that she thought I would like India. It's very similar to why a lot of people like America in that sense.
Right. Like it's
Like they don't like the state as it is right now, but they love the idea of what America could be.
right. Yeah, exactly. That brings a really interesting point. Like I hear a lot from people that will tell me, especially being like a leftist or whatever, they'll say, you just fucking hate America. Like you fucking hate this country. Like love it or leave it type of thing. And it's like, well, actually, no. Like the reason that I scream so loudly about the shit that's happening here is the exact opposite reason. I really care. I care a lot. Like I care a lot for the people here. I care a lot uh, for some of the positive things in culture that we've seen and developed. Like there's a lot of reasons to love your country, but love it enough to realize you should criticize it and you should want to make it better. You know what I mean?
Oh, 1000%. And the thing is, like, a lot of my parents' generation, like especially the immigrants that come over here, a lot of diaspora, and this is like a phenomenon you see, right? A lot of diaspora, like they come from a time where it was probably less progressive back then, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's like if you want to know, if you want to figure out what a time capsule is like going back to like what life was like for them back in like, my parents are like a product of the 70s and 80s, right?
Sure. The Reagan era
Like you
kind
just
of
talk to
shit.
them and yeah, they give you exactly what the 70s and 80s in India were like, right? But yeah, and they tend to be a lot more conservative in general. Like the Howdy Modi convention in Texas was like filled with like uncles and aunties. But what's a little more terrifying is that a lot of young people like myself, like I mean, I'm not young, quote unquote. I'm like 25, right? But a lot of like people that are my age and younger are like falling hook, line, and sinker for a lot of like the BJP propaganda.
Yeah.
And it's just kind of disconcerting to see, because the thing is like a lot of people in India are India is not that dissimilar it's not in a dissimilar situation to that of the US, right? India is effectively run by an oligarchy, right?
Yeah.
Very similar to the US, right? Instead of like Jeff Bezos or I mean, Jeff Bezos runs India, let's be honest as well. And what's his name?
Bill Gates.
Bill Gates, Satya Nadella, yeah, they all run, and Sundar Pichai, they all run India as well, right? But India has its own like oligarchs. It has like, this guy's notorious, the Mukesh Ambani. He has like basically like he's like a big ass. You can search up his thing. It's called Antilia. Like his apartment is, or his house is called Antilia, and it's like a giant skyscraper in the middle of Mumbai, and it's like what 60. It's like 27. It's a 27-story house. It is 400,000 square feet.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
That is fucking insane. That's a house?
Yeah.
What the fuck do you need that much house for? That is crazy.
Oh, the amenities are fucking insane. 168 car garage, a ballroom, 9 high-speed elevators. The elevators is actually not... Elevators in India mean you're generally rich, but like it doesn't mean anything. It doesn't mean like you're super rich. Like I know, like I know people that have an elevator in their house, and it's usually meant for like old people that can't walk stairs.
Right.
50-seat theater, terrace, garden, swimming pool, spa, healthcare, a temple, a big ass temple apparently, and a snow room that spits out snowflakes from the walls, like in Dubai. So that's like, yeah, it's absolutely insane what's going on in. I mean, in India's effectively already been stolen, and the thing is, there's a lot of people that are Sims for this guy, and the reason is he basically brought 4G to India. He quote unquote brought 4G to India. He had a lot of government deals, and he was able to capitalize on those government deals. I'm oversimplifying it, but Mukesh Ambani runs Reliance, which is a company that is basically Walmart plus Verizon.
Holy shit. Yeah, so
it's basically if Walmart and Verizon had a merger, that's the company in India that he runs.
Multi-industry monopoly, basically. That's fucking crazy.
Exactly.
Oh, I did get one response from a chatter that says, "Bruh, fuck that about Antilia. Imagine leaving the lighter downstairs."
You say that, but like he just built an entire fire hazard. He literally built an entire fire hazard in the middle of Mumbai.
Jesus.
Yeah, like this is the most insane thing people like. And by the way, he built this in Mumbai, right? Mumbai has a shit ton of slums.
Yeah, you never really hear about that, you know?
Yeah, like he built this essentially right next to the slums, right? So like, this is super fucked up what he, like India is basically like America on crack. I feel like.
Jesus.
On many things, right?
Like all the hyper-capitalist parts of it?
Yeah, the hyper capitalist parts of it, the racism parts of it, like it's like it's like if you want the really cool diversity, like you really get a lot of diversity in India, and all the cool parts are amplified as well, right?
Mm-hmm.
But then like also that means the bad parts are also amplified as well. So you have like massive amounts of like casteism. Race is kind of a weird it's kind of a weird thing to say in India, but like because basically the big divider among people, aside from like there's like multiple different dividers that like put people above others, like that people categorize.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously the one that comes to everyone's mind is religion: Hindus, Muslims, Christians, Sikhs, Jains, Buddhists, so on and so forth, right? But then the other one that often gets left out is that gets like a pass on comment is caste, right? And that's like the way Western people interpret like caste is different from the way Indians do, right?
Okay.
So like you've probably seen like the food, if you've taken like a comparative religions class, right? You've seen the food pyramid where it's like your grains are at the bottom and and then your like sugar is at the top, and then or like you have all your junk food at the top, and that's the Brahmins, right?
Mm-hmm.
The priests, so on and so forth. That is true to an extent. That does apply in India to an extent.
Mm-hmm.
But what people really talk about when they think of caste is this idea of tribes, right? What they really mean is tribes.
Okay.
So what that the part of the reason that casteism is like super hard to get rid of in India is like it's basically like an onion. Like it's like an interlocking caste hierarchy. It's an interlocking hierarchy, right? Which is actually like these hierarchies are kind of why I lean more towards like my philosophy leans more towards anarchism in the first place, right?
Right.
It's because like you're able to more clearly, when you have that perspective of these are interlocking hierarchies that are coming together to fuck people over,
True.
right?
Yeah.
You get to see like how one hierarchy affects another, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so the thing with caste is that it's a hierarchy that is not really found commonly in other parts of the world, except in like colonial Spain or something like that, or like in some of the Latin American countries. You might see it there. But basically the thing with caste is that no matter where you are in the ladder, right, as long as you got someone to kick down, you're okay with the position you're in, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so like that's the thing, right? It's just like,
so they're always like kicking down, even though like they don't realize there's some class solidarity that could be had there, and start looking up instead.
Yeah, exactly. That's kind of the problem, because like, well, I mean, the thing is like a lot of these castes are provided some level of power by the dominant, like the uppermost caste, the Brahmins, the priests. They're the ones that hold the most political power throughout India, right?
Mm-hmm.
So they're provided a decent amount of like power as well. And because they have a decent amount of power, like they shit on, or like they kick down, and I'm using shit on as euphemism, but they do violence towards lower, like Dalits, who we used to call untouchables, right? And an often left out group, tribal peoples. So India has its own form of indigenous people as well.
Gotcha.
And we call them scheduled tribes or Adivasis, right? And they get screwed over a lot by, I mean, for example, the cops. The Indian cops are fucking brutal, right?
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things that they'll do is they'll basically take bribes from actual criminals, like actual perps, and then they'll just grab an innocent member of a downtrodden community, and they'll just place the blame on them, arrest them, and then beat the shit out of them until they're dead.
That's fucking horrible.
Yeah, exactly, right? And so like that's another part of like the whole caste situation. Like caste in an Indian context, you can almost you can almost synonymize it with like race or tribe, right?
Okay.
Or like or lineage. Actually, that's the meaning of it, right?
Yeah.
Getting 1994 info. The pill that Anarchy pilled me is that it's a spectrum, and we don't expect utopia in our time or ever. I still won't identify as an anarchist, but I won't say anything bad about them. Yeah, I mean, like, I'm not like there are like anarchists online that are like, there are anarchists that are online that are like, hey, my mommy is forcing me to go to sleep. That's an unjust hierarchy or whatever, some shit like that. They will say something like that. And I think like with all political, I think with leftist political ideas and especially like you'll see that online, but then you'll also see like the tanky version of it, and you'll see like, oh, my mom is forcing me to go to bed. It's CIA, right?
Yeah.
She says
My mom's op.
Yeah, my mom's a CIA op. Yeah, like ridiculous, right? But yeah, and then on top of that, there's this language superiority thing that you'll often see, and then obviously there's a patriarchy. Like, don't get it. Like, patriarchy is in a worse state in India than it is in America. But like, there's also this thing of language superiority. Like, there's like, you know, there's two official languages of India, Hindi and English, right? And basically, a lot of people in North India have been, because Hindi is basically common currency in the North. A lot of North Indians who come to the South, who like, they realize that no one in the South speaks Hindi, and they get flabbergasted, and they're like, well, why don't you speak my language? And it's like, bitch, you came to our quarter, you came to our town. Like, why do you want us to learn your language?
Right.
And there's also that sort of issue. Like, there have been like attempts to make Hindi the one national language. And obviously, like, that's just another, like, that's how you start ethnic homogenization, right? And it's like ridiculous. They're spending money on unnecessary things, right? Good thing you all speak English. Yeah, I mean, not all of us, obviously, but like, and also like, don't say you all. I'm not Indian. I'm American, right? Like, my origins lie in India, but like, a lot of people will say I'm not Indian because I grew up here. It needs a nationality, right? There are, but yeah, like, there are lots of people that are like, there are lots of people that are like insane about like languages, especially in the North, that are like, oh, well, they won't accept Hindi as their mother tongue or whatever. And it's like, well, piss off with that shit. Like, yeah, like, we are like, piss off. Like, it's all bluster. And like, it's like, it's been a struggle for like, it's an issue that the North and like the central government brings up every 2 years just to like get votes or whatever.
I think it's interesting because even the US, despite people touting it and despite people screaming it from the top of their lungs, like, learn English if you're coming to America, the US does not have an official language. It does not. Yeah. And I think there's good reason for that. I think it's good that we don't have a national language because it does prevent like othering people. It does require us to make sure that we have documents in multiple languages, so that legal documents and such in multiple languages, so that everybody has a right, like, for the courts to have their fair representation, things like that. I think there's a lot of people that would like to take that away, but I think that was one of the biggest benefits. So hopefully India kind of reverses course on that. But the way you make it sound is like there's a lot of zealots that are really pushing for that pretty hard, or at least using it as a talking point to get elections won. And we saw what happened with Roe v. Wade here when people kept using that as talking points to get elections won. Now we're fighting for our lives with that shit.
Yeah, I mean, so the thing is like, that stuff really only works if states' autonomy is like really eroded, right? It's not like, it's a different situation to that, right? So the thing is like, the South, the South, the regions in the states in the South are largely divided on linguistic basis, right? The states in the North have their own languages, but a lot of them have basically a lot of ethnic groups inside, and they've decided to take Hindi as like their like inter-ethnic linguistic thing, or some of them have just like given in to like the Hindi Kool-Aid.
Mm-hmm.
And the irony of it all is like the reason is a lot of people like the reason they're pushing for this, one of the reasons they provide is that like English is a quote unquote colonial language, right?
Right.
And it's spoken by the British, right? And they're like, oh, so you're a slave to your colonial masters or whatever. That's the sort of line that they'll retort with, right?
Mm-hmm.
But the truth of the matter is the Hindi language is actually not that old. It's actually relatively new. The modern Hindi language that we know that's written in that script, the Devanagari script, was actually created by the British to administer India.
Oh, really?
Isn't that a beautiful ironic twist?
Yeah, that is really fucked up. Like, what the fuck?
Exactly. I mean, the story behind it is basically like Hindi and Urdu, which are the two major languages of India and Pakistan. They're actually the same language, right? They're really not different from one another, right?
Right.
If you look at the basic grammar, they're the same language, right? The numbers are all the same as well, right? It's just that when you get into like the flowery vocabulary, like similar to how we use like Latin and Greek loan words for like democracy is a Greek word, right?
Mm-hmm.
Urdu uses Arabic words and Hindi uses Sanskrit words. That's the big difference, right? And they're written in two different scripts, but they're the same language effectively, which is why Pakistan loves Bollywood, right? Because it's the same language they speak at home, right? But the language is actually bifurcated because of the Hindu nationalists that got super mad when the British decided to take what is now Urdu and make it the national language of India. Harking back to a fictitious glorious past is one of the signs of fascism. Oh, you don't even know the half of it. So the thing is, like, there are like ridiculous claims in India. Let me see if I can find some. But if you find, there are like multiple claims of like the fucking internet being invented like 5,000 years ago by Hindus.
Oh,
Like,
really?
yeah, there's like insane conspiracy theories, right, about technological advances. Like there are people that literally think that we had spaceships 10,000 years ago. Like ancient alien shit. How mainstream is that shit? I don't know. The aliens or like the spaceship shit isn't that mainstream to my knowledge. But like there's a lot of people that believe that like that's also mixed in with like the the marvel that is like the architectural marvels that are the temples of India. Like those are ornate and they're very complicated, and so like that is a sign of a long long lasting civilization. But like there's a lot of a lot of the pseudoscience is very common. Like there are a lot of people that will literally drink like fucking cow piss and cow shit. Like there are people who drink like cow urine and cow feces because they think it's like healthier or some nonsense like that.
What the fuck? That's horrible.
Yeah, that's actually not like that's very common actually.
But like the cow is, there's like some really strong religious significance with the cow in India, correct? Like for certain religious groups, right?
Yes. So the rule is that so basically a lot of Hindus consider cows to be sacred, and the reason for that is basically the story that was told to me was that back in those days mothers died of childbirth very often, and so the only source of milk was a cow.
Got it.
And so that's why it was because out of a need of necessity, because of this need for like milk for growth, a lot of people just started saying, hey, cows are the shit. They're awesome, right? But that's the beef eating thing is actually like more contested than you think it is, because again, especially in the South where I'm from, there's a lot of people that eat beef, right? And the state of Kerala, which is right next to where I'm from, has completely legalized it, right? You can actually eat cow meat in Kerala, right? Which
Okay.
again pisses off the central government.
Sure.
It pisses them off. And in Goa as well, they also eat beef. They're also allowed to eat beef because it's in their culture to do that.
Okay.
So it's not like across the board where cows are sacred or holy. It largely depends on the region. There are some regions where like vegetarianism is like big. Like Modi's region, Gujarat, Modi's state, Gujarat, is big on vegetarianism for the most part.
Okay.
So there's a lot of that going on as well, yeah.
So it's almost like it can be to a degree where the diets are almost state mandated within the individual states. Is it like that?
I don't know if it's state mandated. It's more like.
But I mean, like if they're outlawing eating certain things, and that's kind of curbing your diet into certain other things, I guess.
Yeah. Pork is actually not that common regardless, because I don't think pigs were ever that common in India to begin with, but because there's a sizable Muslim minority as well, pork is actually not that consumed all that often. But in the South, there's a shit ton of beef and a lot of chicken that's eaten.
Got it. Okay. So the South's more, they're less constrained with their diets as far as meat's concerned, whereas more of like the North and like central of the country, like you were saying earlier, it's probably going to be a little bit more conservative with things.
Yeah, so basically the North is where the Bjp Stronghold is, right? And the BJP, the Bharatiya Janata Party, is Modi's party. And they're like the ruling party, and they're absolute psychos right now, right?
Yeah, I've been seeing some of that.
Yeah, and effectively, like that some Hindu extremists attack beef eaters. I mean, what they'll do is they'll accuse people of eating beef or making beef, and they'll just attack them. Like you don't even need to like have proof that they eat beef, right? They'll just attack you if they suspect you of eating beef, quote unquote. And that's just usually a pretext to attack Muslims.
Sure, got you. Yeah. Because it's part of that ultra nationalist kind of movement.
Yeah, and the thing to keep in mind is that like what Hindu is a malleable thing, right? In this context, right? Because the far more right-wing elements of it are that like certain castes belong to, they're considered Hindu, right? So within the food pyramid triangle, the first three, Brahmin, Kshatriyas, and Vaishyas, are considered Hindus. Shudras are not, and Dalits are who are outcasts, right? They're not considered Hindus in their hierarchy. And basically what that translates to is this it's basically Aryan supremacy is what they're after. Right. And it kind of goes to the linguistic groups as well. That's why language is also involved in politics as well, because it's also the name of the linguistic groups, right? So in the North, you have like Hindi, Punjabi, Gujarati, Bengali, so on and so forth. And those are called Indo-Aryan languages, right? And then in the South, where I'm from, you have Kannada, Tamil, Malayalam, Telugu, and there are Dravidian languages. So, and they used to be two distinct ethnicities at one point or another. Like Aryans used to be like they're migrants from another place. Dravidians, their origins are up for debate. But they eventually mixed in and they settled, and we have like a ethnically heterogeneous population, and we have a heterogeneous population these days, right? But there's also that aspect of language that plays into that as well. There's always in Sanskrit being like the Latin of India, there's always been like a feeling that Sanskrit and all the Aryan languages is superior to the other languages of India. And so it like basically Hindu nationalism, in my opinion, I think is kind of a misnomer. I think what it really boils down to is Aryan nationalism, right?
Right.
Because like it doesn't even matter if you're a Brahmin from the south, right? And technically you're quote unquote like you're upper caste, right? It doesn't matter to any of these guys. You're still a South Indian. There's still a dirty South Indian in these guys. You're a Lungi. You're
Right.
a Madrasi, which is actually a slur for South Indians to these guys, right?
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't really matter, right? Basically, if you're not a upper caste Brahmin from the state of Uttar Pradesh, you're effectively under these guys' crosshairs. You're going to be under their crosshairs at one point or another. You know what I mean?
I think with what you're telling me, that would drive me to an anarchistic, idealism, or, seeing, looking favorably upon, anarchism as a political philosophy. Because it sounds like what you describe is like from all angles, like everybody's gunning for you if you aren't exactly like falling in line with what's happening in like these regions or under these like this hierarchical system that you're talking about, the caste system,
Yeah.
Like I think I could see the frustration in that. You know what I mean? Like I guess that's kind of what I'm getting at.
Yeah, I mean the thing is like there are multiple different hierarchies. Like we haven't even gotten to like the patriarchy and how that affects people, right?
Mm-hmm.
Aryan as in the followers of the now Saint Arius. No, like when I mean Aryan, like I'm talking about the same word that Hitler used.
Mm-hmm.
Like that like Hitler stole that and swastika from India.
Yeah. Turned it on its axis. Yeah.
So it's like that's basically like what I'm talking about here, right? And now like the whole idea of an Aryan ethnicity is kind of like bunk science to begin with, right?
Right.
It's already like garbage science to begin with, but it's often weaponized in politics, and that's the sort of implicit bias of the BJP, right? Effectively, the people who will wield all political power, their core power base, are basically upper caste Brahmins from the state of Uttar Pradesh and Gujarat. Those are the people that wield all the political power in India, effectively. And that's particularly why, certain members of certain castes will vote for the BJP, because it helps them preserve their power.
Gotcha. Oh, sorry. I just had a follow come in. Go ahead.
Yeah. No, I mean, India is like a fascinating place. It absolutely is. And like the other thing to keep in mind is like, even though, and like when I there is a difference between someone like me criticizing India and someone like Tucker Carlson criticizing India, right?
Oh,
there are
sure.
people
The
that will
motivations are
criticize.
vastly different, I'm sure,
Yeah, because I was watching like a video of Tucker Carlson's daytime television show, and he brought on this guest, and this guest said something that is factually accurate, right? About like how basically Kamala Harris, first of all, her mom is a Brahmin, which is she's a Tamil Brahmin, which is like the highest caste in India, or like it's the highest caste within the Tamil ethnicity, right, in India. And so her mom comes from a very privileged background, right? She's correct about that, and she's talking about like how there's a massive exodus of Brahmins that left India to America because of economic opportunities. And they were able to do that with the amount of basically hegemonic power they had over the education system. At one point, Brahmins made up like 5% of the population, but they had like 60 to 70% of the jobs.
Holy shit.
Yeah. there's a disproportionate amount of power there.
Yeah,
Right.
I'd say there's a huge power vacuum if that's the case. I mean,
Right.
we talk a lot about that in the States, but I mean, that's really significant because even here, like, you don't see it, it's not quite that. There's not that quite as big of a difference there. You know what I mean? Like, you can still find a broad swath of people that, you know, at least went to some school, some community college, and were able to get into jobs. You know, maybe they're not, you know, living their best lives, but, you know, at least we're able to get education. So that's interesting.
That's why people like there's this guy called Periyar. Now I just put it in the chat. His name is E.V. Ramaswamy. That's his real name. This guy is, let's put it this way, he's not perfect, right? He said some very yikes shit. And he's definitely whack on certain issues, right? But in terms of like his overall anti-caste, you know, caste abolition sort of movement, I think overall he hit the nail on the head, right? He generally hit the nail on the head of caste is a real big problem in Tamil Nadu. Brahmins held disproportionate power for a very long time in Tamil Nadu, and so we need to right this wrong. We need affirmative action. They call it reservation in India, right? And actually, like, people cry about affirmative action here, but it's actually like affirmative action is not really one thing like it is in India, right? In America, it's a set of court cases and it's a set of laws, right? And like certain things that we often don't consider to be part of affirmative action actually are, like the Americans with Disabilities Act. That's affirmative action, right? That's a perfect example of it.
Yeah.
But in India, it's actually enshrined into the Constitution, saying that states are actually allowed to distribute government jobs and college seats, like government-run college seats, based on caste. Right? They're allowed to allot seats based on caste, right? And the reason for that is the reservation system was designed to fix representation in colleges. So the thing is, like, a lot of people will be like, oh, why can't you uplift people from, like, what about the poor Brahmins, like economically not so well off Brahmins? What about them? Why aren't they part of this, right? And the answer is that's a different problem that you're trying to solve here.
Yeah.
Right. You're like that is another problem to be solved. I agree with you on that, but you're not solving the problem that is served through like government schemes and like financial aid and whatnot, right? But the problem of representation in colleges, you see, that's different, right? Like the problem of representation in government jobs, that's different. That like one group should not be able to have like the entire like share of the pie, essentially.
Yeah. I mean, that's exactly just like in the U.S. with our affirmative action. Yeah, even though there's a set of policies, but same type of deal. Yeah, to prevent that, you know.
Exactly. And then I mean that's basically like, and then India has like it goes super deep into. I read Dinesh D'Souza.
Oh,
the
shit.
Funniest cat, Dinesh D'Souza. Oh, that's hilarious. Wait, he's also massively pro the British Raj, who the Catholic Indian pastors why but triggered by the left. He's also massively pro the British Raj, mainly due to his family history, moving from poverty to middle class. What? But the British Raj sucked. What? They literally robbed India of Indians actually have health problems due to the massive famines that the British dealt. Like there's like massive problems of diabetes within the South Asian community now.
Well, hey, you know, you got Dinesh D'Souza, sounds like praising the Raj, and you have Candace Owens fucking saying she can relate to Hitler. So I mean, there's some backwards ass people in this world, man. Like, I'm just gonna leave it
I
at
think
that.
it's a copy paste spot. That is a fantastic copy pasta. That is great. But yeah, and then like the other issue that you've definitely heard me talk about that's very close to me and that hits home for me is what's been going on in Sri Lanka. That's like that's really been like that's done a number on me talking about it.
Yeah, you and Aston Mac were talking about a documentary, I think, where you said it's pretty damn graphic, obviously not toss friendly, but you kind of went through it on one of your streams.
Yeah, so I was live. No, I don't think I was on stream for that. I think I just popped up on his stream. Basically what happened was like, so basically the thing that really riles me up about Sri Lanka, the current coverage of Sri Lanka, is that they're covering this from an economic angle purely.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not, what they're stating isn't wrong, right? They're absolutely stating what like the Rajapaksa family did, right? The current president and his brother, who's a former prime minister as well, right? And the thing is, like, they're correct in saying like what they did, but they never talk about how those guys got into power in the first place. And it's like, well, the reason those guys got into power in the first place is kind of like it's very similar. It's a very similar like right-wing rabid reason as to why those guys got into power as like Trump got into power. Right? They wanted to see brutality. They wanted to see blood, right? And at the time those guys got elected, Sri Lanka was going through a civil war, right? And basically what happened was the minority Tamils were basically getting their shit pushed in by fascist mobs set up by the Sri Lankan government. And basically some of them formed a guerrilla group called the Tamil Tigers. And those guys went to war with the Sri Lankan army. And I'm not going to sit here and defend the Tigers again. The Tigers directly threatened to kill my dad and my grandmother. So I have no interest in defending them whatsoever.
Right. No love for them.
But if you like the leader of the Tigers or you believe in the Tigers and you're a Sri Lankan Tamil, or you're an Elam Tamil, and you saw the horrors of what like happened to your family, well then I don't blame you for that. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Because like what happened to a lot of those guys, what happened is that a lot of those guys, there's so much trauma that affected them on an intergenerational level. And the thing is, so Jaffna is like basically the cultural capital of the Tamils in the north, right? So Jaffna is basically, it's a very old city, right? It's been there for thousands of years, right? Mm-hmm. And it's basically what happened was like the Jaffna airport is now closed because it's basically been turned into a military base, right? An Air Force base for the Sri Lankan army. While like the Rajapaksa government opened like an airport in the south side of the country on Chinese bonds, basically, which is like empty. Yeah, they opened a airport called the Rajapaksa International Airport in the south. Matala, search this up. Matala Rajapaksa. It's called the world's emptiest airport. Yeah, it's called the world's emptiest airport because like it's in a town of like 8,000 people, right? And the entire southern province, which can be used to connect to it, is like 2 million people, right? And the reason this is completely redundant and useless is because there's already an airport that serves the southern portion of the country, and that's the largest airport, Colombo International. Mm-hmm. Right? Jaffna, on the other hand, I'm really high, but arunannow sounds like similar to the AZ gun guy Jason talked to the other day. Can you verify yourself by saying you love Biden? Cut that malarkey out, Jack. Cut the malarkey.
No, that gun guy was a trip. I had a gun guy on he was actually in chat earlier tonight. But
Really?
he
Oh,
was,
is it the MR? Is it the what's his face?
don't believe the narrative or something like that.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I thought it was that other guy. Oh, Gun Rights USA or Male Rights USA. That guy.
Yeah, no, they
Like-
just followed again. They haven't chatted in though, so.
Oh, he's actually okay. I got you. Yeah, there's this one weirdo that. So I'm in USA Holes. Like you know who USA Holes, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So I was in USA Holes Discord, and there's this one guy that. This is why I love talking with chuds, because like it basically, I mean, so Twitch is actually kind of starved of like Indian chuds. There are actually not that many Indians on Twitch to begin with, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I don't really get a lot of practice, right? I don't really get a lot of practice dealing with chuds, right? Especially like because I mean they will come soon enough. At some point they'll discover what Twitch is once like 5G hits India,
Right.
or like 5G has already hit India, but once 5G becomes widely available and cheap, then they'll discover what Twitch is, and they'll be like, oh fuck this guy, right? But for the time being, like I just love using chuds as like target practice, basically, for the time being.
Oh,
because,
me too.
Yeah, because like you gotta like dumpster somebody in order to like, you know, practice your talking points a little bit here and there, and you got to be able to rattle that shit off the top of your head.
Yeah.
And it's not even an assured victory that you'll win against that chud, because they're not gonna like listen to you in the first place.
No.
That's all set up for like this one convo I was having with this one weirdo in USA Holds Chud chat, right?
Okay.
This is one guy called actually I won't say his name, but basically this dude is he keeps like, so I banned him. He joined my stream, and he was just like he tried to derail the conversation a little bit. He
Mm-hmm.
was just saying stupid shit, and like he wasn't like an entertaining enough guy. Like, let's be honest here, he's like saying the same old like serves you right, libs, and it's like, all right.
Oh yeah, one of those.
And it's like, dude, if you're gonna if you're gonna be a chud, you got to be entertaining a little bit.
Yeah, at least have an imagination.
Yeah, at least give me something, right? Just don't regurgitate the same shit over and over again, right? And then but then the weird thing is, after I banned him, he's like, good, I'm never coming. Or like what happened was, he's like, good, I never want to come back to the stream again, right? With his homie, like he was there with his homie, and he's like, I never want to come back to the stream again.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, okay, all right. And then the next day I was like, all right, they're not coming back, so I'll ban them.
Yeah.
All right. And then they both started following me yet again. And then
It's
they
weird
keep
how they
doing
are with that. They love the hate watch, you know?
Yeah, no, it's like, oh, no, they love hate watching. It's crazy. Like, I didn't realize, like, it's like, the thing is, like, I'm still awestruck that people think like this, you know what I mean? I mean, not hate watch, but like, I'm still awestruck that people just say that kind of stuff, and they think, wait, you banned me for distracting you? Wait, also, who are we talking with tonight? What the fuck?
That's Kenzai. Kenzai's awesome. How you doing tonight, Kenzai? Good to see you.
The thing is, there is one guy in my chat that tries to, like, he pretends to be like an Indian conservative.
Uh-huh.
Like, it doesn't work if I know him personally. So it's like, dude, stop. Like, I know what it feels weird arguing with you, man. Like, stop.
Yeah, right.
Like, I know you don't believe this shit, so stop. I know you're joking.
It's too easy when you know they're joking, because then you just like, you're laughing while you're trying to get through the argument, you know, like.
Exactly. It's not fair. Yeah, but this dude is like absolutely psycho. I showed him like I dumped a Bo the Fifth Column video. I love Bo the Fifth Column.
Oh, me too. Me too.
Yeah. I dropped a Bo the Fifth Column video in there, and he was like, I'm not watching a leftist criminal human trafficker. I'm like, all right, dude. Like, he's a felon. His credibility goes out the window. Moreover, a human trafficker. I forgot that's your kind of people.
Oh,
and
Jesus.
And it's like, how are you supposed to have a convo with this guy? How are you supposed to have a conversation with this guy, man? You can't.
Exactly.
Does not arrow, arunannow. So it's two ends. And yes, I do stream.
I'll go ahead and do the shout out. That way we can get your. I don't mind. I love doing this. I like getting people more like followers and viewers. I think it's fun.
I mean, thanks for the followers, man. I appreciate it.
Well, hopefully they follow. That's what I'm counting on. But you're hanging out with us, so.
I mean, that's basically why I've been like, honestly, like when I talk about Sri Lanka, a lot of people are like, "Oh, thank you for talking about this." When like people need to talk about this, I'm like, motherfucker, thank you for giving me this platform. Like, because the honest truth of the matter is like the situation in Sri Lanka with the civil war and the genocide, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's been swept under the rug. That's been buried so well by every government on the planet, right?
Mm-hmm.
That it takes a random asshole that's not even from Sri Lanka to
just what I
yell
needed
into the mic and like beg people to have him on their platform to talk about it, to even spread awareness about this.
Just what I needed.
That's how fucked the situation is. And I'm like, dude, I will just give me a platform. I will just yell into the mic. Please.
Huge. Hell yeah. And I'm glad that you're like getting around and being able to talk about this. Give me just a second. We had a raid come in. I want to thank you guys for coming in from Sendstream's channel, from the debate he was having with Solemn 10 Gaming, Myopic Times, and I can't remember the other folks on the panel, but thank you all for coming in. I appreciate that.
Just what I needed.
Oh shit, everyone's streaming bits, man.
What's that?
No, I'm just seeing like everyone's cheering and shit.
Oh yeah.
Awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you guys for the bits. And for those coming in, if you can just click on my name or my little face icon thing, that'd be awesome. That just helps to boost the signal to show that I actually have the viewers that I have. Right now we're talking to arunannow about just about Southeastern Asian politics, and in particular at this time we're talking about it's kind of a humanitarian crisis from my angle on it in Sri Lanka. Sounds like it sounds brutal, you know.
It's hot.
You there for a good time, baby.
So
cheered.
the thing is, like, the situation
X69.
in Sri Lanka is like that. Sort of what happened there is like I was talking about Jaffna earlier, right? And basically, the population of Jaffna was half of what it was before the war. Right? That's
Jesus.
It's hot.
Yeah.
Mike
like
Lightyear
entire
cheered.
villages were wiped out.
X70.
Right? Like these were the numbers were that of like entire villages, right? Entire towns are gone as a result of the war.
Mm-hmm.
And
oh, go ahead.
I mean, what were you gonna say?
No, it sounds like like the war just eviscerated so much of this region, you know, like
It did. It absolutely did. Like the lasting effects are basically so the demographics are this. So like the majority of Sri Lanka is Sinhalese, right?
Mm-hmm.
They're Buddhists and they speak a language that's not that dissimilar from Hindi, right?
Okay.
So they speak a language that's actually a distant cousin of English. And then the other ethnicity, the major ethnicity on the island, there's also Muslims, and there's two kinds of Tamil on the island, but that's splitting hairs for a second. But basically, the other major ethnicity on the island are Tamils, are the Sri Lankan Tamils, right? They're slightly so they're ethnic Tamils, like myself. I'm also an ethnic Tamil, but their history is they've been in Sri Lanka. They're descendants of the Jaffna kingdoms, on and so forth, right? So there's different history from a lot of Indian Tamils. That's why the dialect is super different.
Okay.
And so, but basically, what the Tamil dominated regions are the north and the east. And so those were largely under, for a long time, they're under the control of the Tamil Tigers during the Civil War. But effectively what ended up happening is a lot of people got massacred. And a lot of it was targeted massacres by the government. Basically, the current president, who was then the defense secretary, and the former prime minister, Mahinda Rajapaksa, who was the president of Sri Lanka at the time, and also at one point the finance minister of Sri Lanka. These guys get around in politics a lot. They basically got elected to power on the promise that they would end the Tamil Tigers at all costs. And they did. But the cost was basically again, these guys are massively brutal fascists, right?
Right.
So they were okay with the cost. They were happy with the cost, right? It's a win-win for them, right? They get to retain political power and wipe out a minority, right?
Right.
And so basically a lot of the people that are in Sri Lanka, that were in Sri Lanka, two things happened. They either became refugees and they left to places like Canada, UK, Australia, so on and so forth, or they died. and a lot more happened to those guys, right? And I don't want to, right? A lot of brutal shit happened to them, right? But that's basically what ended up happening in Sri Lanka. And effectively, this is like a war crime that no one's really been held into account for. And so like it's like this stuff really pisses me off on like another level. It really pisses me off. It's like, because like the thing is, like, I'm not even asking for justice at this point. Justice is impossible. It's a pipe dream.
Right.
But I want people to recognize this. I want people to know this thing exists. Like these atrocities exist. And the fact that like most news outlets are not covering what the Rajapaksas did is like is a crime. It's atrocious what they did.
What do you think? Like, why do you think that like media isn't covering this? Because this seems like this could be, it's like the stories I've heard from you over the several times I've heard you speak on this, like, are just fucking horrific. And these are usually things that you would think those tend to get the attention. They're headline grabbers. And it's kind of do you think there's some kind of like diplomatic reason why maybe people in the US are like our media is not really engaging in that?
Yeah, so the reason is multiple. It's multiple fold, right? So the first reason is it's a bunch of brown people killing each other. Like let's be honest, right? That like we look at the way we cover Ukraine versus like the way we covered Sri Lanka, right? And Sri Lanka had its coverage, but you won't hear anything about this in CNN, right? The other reason is there's a lot of capital interest in Sri Lanka, right? So the IMF is very interested in Sri Lanka. They're very interested in making Sri Lanka a very loyal, basically client state of the IMF.
Sure.
But it's not just them, it's China. China's also interested in doing the same thing. So the thing is, like you're not going to hear it from Western media. So a lot of the things that you hear about the Uyghurs are from Western media, because Western media is able to use, because they can use it as a point of criticizing China. And it's a fair point to criticize China, right? What China's doing there is atrocious, right? It amounts to cultural cleansing, right?
Right.
Genocide, effectively, right?
100.
But that same interest doesn't lie in Sri Lanka, right? It doesn't exist in Sri Lanka. And the same, that's the reason you won't hear about it from China either, right? Because they also want power over Sri Lanka. The thing is, Sri Lanka has managed to remain a decently neutral state. During the final stages of the Civil War, they used weapons bought from both. They used weapons bought from Israel and China and America.
Jesus. So they were getting from all over the place.
And India, I think, as well. Yeah, they're getting weapons from everywhere. So, and India's involvement in this whole conflict is already like it. That's another level of bad, right? They did so many things horrifically wrong. Sudan, Somalia, Morocco. Yeah, I mean the same thing with like the Polisario Front and Western Sahara, man. Like it's like, don't you know those people are savages who don't even want to buy U.S. weapons? Like, sheesh, man. No, I mean like the thing is, no, Sri Lanka does buy U.S. weapons. They buy
that's
weapons
what you were just saying.
Yeah, they buy weapons from everyone, right? And so like there's really no point in rocking the boat, right? Like they'll do whatever you want so long as you do, you scratch my back, I scratch your back, right?
Right.
The only thing that's really criticized Sri Lanka for the way they've treated the Tamils is actually the BBC. And the reason for that is the British have had a historic interest in propping up the Tamils into positions of power in Sri Lanka. So that's actually the main reason that this ethnic tension arose in the first place. It's actually British involvement. And so for the British see the Tamils as like their sort of like inroads into influencing Sri Lanka.
Right.
That's kind of and like BBC's actually done it somewhat they've done a decent job of covering the atrocities that went on in Sri Lanka. Al Jazeera comes in second place, I think. And I'm not sure why they do, but they do a decent job of saying, hey, like, you guys really fucked up. You guys really messed up when it comes to war crimes and stuff. But yeah, I mean, it's a mix of like it's a mix of like capital interest in Sri Lanka. And the third reason is like, so the third reason is because of who's being persecuted itself, right? So like the Tamils are an ethnic minority no matter where you go, right? There's really not much solidarity to be formed, right? It's similar situation to like the Kurds in a sense, right? Right. Kurds don't really have anyone they can rely on for like support, right? Because every major country that they live in doesn't like the existence of a Kurdistan. And it's a similar situation for Tamils, right? In fact, Tamils, I believe, are like the largest, like they're the largest ethnic minority, stateless ethnic minority, right?
Right.
They're actually double the population of Kurds, right? So it's a similar situation for the Tamils, right? Like they're a very politically inconvenient group of people for both India and Sri Lanka as well. And the other thing is, so that's one thing. There's really not much solidarity to be had with Tamils as an ethnicity. But the other thing that poses a problem is they're Hindus, and there really isn't like a positive Hindu unity going on, right? The only form of quote unquote Hindu unity is like whatever the BJP is like using as a way of just getting votes, right?
Right. What kind of nationalist propaganda or, cajoling can we do to jar the population, right?
Yeah, basically, exactly. And the thing is, the Tamils have always been like a political thorn in the BJP side because Tamils have like the Tamil Nadu state has usually been very secular in comparison to the sort of the fundamentalism they've been trying to push from the BJP. So there's also like no like solidarity with regards to these guys either, right? It's not like It's not, and the thing is, like, the official Indian stance is that Sri Lanka is correct. So
Oh, shit.
they can't. So, like, yeah, basically Tamils cannot even get their own government. Like, Tamil Nadu can't even get its own government, its own, like, federal government to say, like, hey, Sri Lanka is committing war crimes, right? It's because India's interests, like, they don't give a shit about Hindu unity when it comes to dying Hindus in Sri Lanka, because they can't, because again, they can't use that as a cudgel against Muslims, right? And that's, like, written plainly and clearly when you look at the CAA, the Citizenship Amendment Act, and the National Register of Citizens, the NRC.
Mm-hmm.
Both laws are designed to discriminate against Muslims because the CAA is basically a fast track for Hindus. So the NRC is basically, it requires people to show their documents saying that they're an Indian citizen, right? And it disproportionately affects poor Muslims, right? Or poor people in general, right?
Sure.
But the CAA gives you a fast track to Indian citizenship if you're a Hindu, Sikh, or Jain fleeing from Afghanistan, Pakistan, and Bangladesh, right? But the one country that's been left out of that, curiously enough, is Sri Lanka, where Tamils, where Hindus were actually being massacred left and right.
That's
It's
just
because
so...
it's because they don't give a shit. They never did, and they never will.
It's more about the power that they can maintain within their own state, not necessarily how they can help out fellow Hindus or whatever. I mean, yeah, that's a telltale sign of fascism because they're using that identity, but then when it comes down to it, they really don't give a shit. You know, I mean, that fits perfectly into like a fascist ideological position, you know?
Yeah. There's something called the Hindu American Foundation. Now, these guys are basically like just a BJP, like they're proxy for the BJP, right?
Right.
Now, basically what all these guys are saying is like it's RSS apologism. It's Hindutva, Hindu nationalism apologism. So they'll say like, oh, Hindus don't practice caste, you know. It's like, yeah, no, bullshit, right? They do. Now, that being said, right, that's not any real reason to bully like Indian kids in school that are Hindus. Like, that's not okay,
right? No, of course.
Like, that's the corner that they're angling, right? But like these motherfuckers have written like 3, 4, 5 articles on like the Kashmiri Hindus who were persecuted and they were like, you know, they were effectively like persecuted. They were basically attacked by Pakistan-backed militants and basically militants in the region, right? By Muslim fundamentalist militants in the region, and they were effectively partially driven out by them, right? They were, yeah. What happened to them? The Exodus, and yeah, you could call it an ethnic cleansing or genocide. Yeah, it was atrocious and it was disgusting what happened to them, right?
Right.
But look at the disproportionality in the way they cover. If you look at their articles on like Kashmir, like it'll be like 3, 4, 5. It's like the headline articles.
Oh yeah.
Right. There was like a reason, because again, you can use the Kashmiri Hindus to basically see like, hey, this is what's happening in Kashmir. Look at the dirty Kashmir mother. Like, look at the terrorist Muslims in Kashmir. Look at what they're doing. Right.
Right.
You can use it as like a cudgel against them. You can use them to, you know, sick political dogs on them. Right.
Right. Yeah.
But you cannot do that with Sri Lanka because again, India has capital interests in Sri Lanka. So it doesn't like, so that's why, like, again, the Hindu American Foundation wrote like one measly article about Sri Lanka. It's like, hey, did you know? And the way it was phrased was also like interesting. It was like, hey, did you know? Fun fact, there were a bunch of Hindus that were massacred in Sri Lanka and basically they were victims of genocide. Fun fact. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like it's like, okay, here's a little snippet. And in other news, there's going to be a fair today at the local fucking whatever, like,
Exactly.
kind of like just an aside from like, other more important things or whatever. Like almost like, I guess the word would be a trivialization, right? A little bit of a trivialization, even though the article was put out.
Right.
They trivialized it. They didn't give it the attention it deserved.
JJ, wait, what? Are you in Canada right now?
Yeah, he's in Canada. He's in Toronto.
Okay. Explains it. Got it. All you needed to say was Toronto. I was like, all right, yep, no, that explains it. There's the GTA is home to a lot of Sri Lankan Tamil refugees. So I think that is the largest community of Sri Lankan Tamil refugees. It's Toronto. And I think the next one is London, I think. Like all the Commonwealth countries, most of the Tamils there, I think Australia is slowly changing, but most of the Tamils in the Commonwealth countries are actually refugees from Sri Lanka. But the Tamils in America are actually immigrants from India. They're worker immigrants. They're like IT guys, basically, for the most part.
Yeah. So coming from a couple different circumstances there, then.
Yeah. But yeah, it's like it's just like it's really tragic what happened to them was an absolute like crime, and like it's just disgusting. Like it's just absolutely disgusting, like what happened to them, and the fact that it's not being talked about more is like, and I get why. Like again, people will immediately associate the Tamils with the Tigers, and a lot of them do support the Tamil Tigers, and some of them will be like, oh, let's use this opportunity. Some of them will be like, let's use this opportunity to fight for Elam, which is like the proposed state in Sri Lanka for Tamils, right?
Mm-hmm.
And again, that's not like that's like Hotep posting, basically. No, you're not like Elam posting. You're not fucking helping the situation. There are still Tamils in Sri Lanka. You posting this shit is going to give the government more reason to crack their necks. You know what I mean?
Right.
You're not helping the situation by doing that. You know what I mean? But at the same time, like, you have to talk about this, right? Because Sri Lanka the Sri Lankan government had disproportionate amount of power in that relationship. You know what I mean? It's totally like the fact that it takes like a dude with like, it takes me to talk about this is just like I don't want to be the only guy that's talking about this on the daily. I want people my goal is like, when we talk about like how fascism forms, or when we talk about atrocities, right? We talk about this sort of thing, right? I want this to come into the back of people's minds.
Yeah.
I can't let what happened to those guys like die in vain. You know what I mean? Because the other thing I forgot to mention is that we don't actually have an official death count for the people that died in the Civil War, because the Sri Lankan government has refused to investigate the deaths of the Civil War. They've refused to investigate the genocide, and that refusal started 13 years ago. The bodies are cold at this point. The bodies are frozen at this point, right? And like, there's, by the way, there are still landmines in the north and eastern parts of the country, and it's still under military occupation.
So
right?
So it's, while things may have technically come to an end, hold on a second. I just got a message from somebody. I apologize. Forgot what I was saying. I'm so sorry. I lost my train of thought and everything. Damn it, that threw me off. Where were we at?
Oh, you were saying something like all things come to an end or something like that?
Oh no, it sounds like it's a lot like many other like ends of like battles or conflicts, where even afterwards there's an occupation there that is still not great, and is that kind of the same situation we're talking about? Because you see that in a lot of countries, like that's
right. Yeah, no, it is a similar situation. Basically, like the Jaffna airport is basically closed, right? Like you can't fly into, like basically Jaffna served the eastern and northern parts of the country, right? The Tamil speaking parts of the country, and you can fly to it places like Chennai, right? In India, right? You can't do that anymore, right? If you want to go to Jaffna, you now have to fly into Colombo in the southwestern part of the country and drive up to the northern part of the country. You can't, and keep in mind, they the former prime minister opened an airport in his hometown as a dick measuring contest. And the opposite side of the country, that Jaffna is closed down, basically is a big fuck you to the Tamils as well. And so, yeah, I mean, and also the other thing to keep in mind is like, there's economic evidence to point to this as well. In 2018, there was a survey that was done, or there's like a study that was done, and basically they did it based on median household incomes, right? So the highest median household incomes were in the southern parts of the country, the less war-torn parts of the country.
Okay.
Places like Colombo, places like basically all the Colombo suburbs and stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
But all the poorest parts of the country were in the north. Cities like Jaffna, Kilinochchi, Vaonia, Muletiv, which is actually the city where it's the district where Muli Vaikal happened, right? The Muli Vaikal massacre.
Okay.
Which is the day that is commemorated on May 18th. I did a special stream for that. It is basically a town of 100,000, 200,000, 300,000 being reduced to nothing. Some of them escaping through refugees, a lot of them escaping as refugees, but a lot of them being basically leveled to ash.
It's fucking tragic. That's fucking horrible.
Yeah. And the thing is, like, it's in Sri Lanka, it's called Victory Day, right? That's basically the end of the civil war. Tamils are actually not allowed to commemorate their memorial. They can't do that. They get beat up by the Sri Lankan cops if they do.
Holy shit. So no freedom of speech, no freedom to express your grieving or mourning. God, man, like, and so there's
they'll mark you as a terrorist. There's a law called the Prevention of Terrorism Act, POTA, and basically this gives the government free rein to, bring people in for questioning, and a lot of people have been locked up under this act, basically, under the pretense that they're residual members of the Tamil Tigers. Regardless of the veracity of that situation, they've been caught by that, and Muslims have also been caught by that in the wake of the 2019 Easter bombings as well. But yeah, a lot of people, like, the government just locks people up if they even suspect you of being a tiger.
Jesus. So
yeah, there's effectively
there's some serious fascistic totalitarian bullshit going on for sure. I mean, the fact that they've been brutalized wasn't enough. They have to kick him as well, right? Like, that's kind of the thing.
Oh yeah. Like, there's still, like, the genocide is still going on, right? It's still basically it's shifted from outright killings to more like, hey, we're going to do some land grabs and we're going to replace this Hindu temple with a Buddhist temple, or we're going to slowly take land from, Tamil people, and we're essentially going to, and the other thing to keep in mind is, like, this stuff is really hard to verify because this stuff is super localized, right? Like, no one is covering this. So like there's effectively two sources in total for like both sides of the information. One will be the Tamil side, and then one will be the Sri Lankan side, or like the Sri Lankan government side. Right? And so like it's kind of hard to verify this information every now and then, but yeah, basically what the Sri Lankan government is doing is they're effectively like they're doing land grabs, and they're trying to slowly but surely make, I mean, Sri Lanka has always been an ethnocracy. It's always been a country first and foremost for the Sinhalese. Like it's been there since, it's been like that since day one. It doesn't matter, like it does not matter how much like they make Tamil the national language, or like they have Tamil to be like an official, like they, like more recently Rajapaksa, like there was two versions of the Sri Lankan national anthem. There's one in Tamil and one in Sinhala, which is the majority language. The Rajapaksas got rid of the Tamil version. They made it only Sinhala. So they're doing stuff like that, right? They were doing obviously fascistic stuff. I mean, Sri Lanka has always been an ethnocracy for the most part, right? It's always been like every leader has been a Sinhala person, right? There's no chance in hell of a Tamil person ever becoming a leader. It's just not possible. And it's because unfortunately all the, and there's really the thing that's really like, that sucks about this whole situation. And I will get to good news in a second, right? There is good news that is coming out of Sri Lanka, right?
Good, okay.
So, but the thing is, no matter which politician you look at, whether it's Sajith Premadasa, who's the current opposition leader, but his father was basically in charge during one of the massive pogroms against the Tamils, known as Black July. Sajith Premadasa's father was in charge of that. Ranil Wickremesinghe, who's the current prime minister, he was in charge of most of the war. Right? He was actually in charge. His party, the UNP, oversaw most of the civil war in the first place. Right? So there's technically more blood on his party's hands than anyone else's. Right?
Right. Okay.
And then obviously the Rajapaksas are basically like Sri Lanka's Trumps. Effectively, they're Trump plus Tucker Carlson, basically.
Oh, fuck me.
They're ideologically minded fascists, but they're also goofy as shit at times.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah. So yeah, basically like from the political situation, like and basically there was a vote to get rid of Gotabaya Rajapaksa, who was the former defense secretary during the Civil War, basically the head of the army,
right?
And who's now the president, and the vote failed. So unfortunately that didn't work. Now, the good news that's coming out of Sri Lanka is, for the time being, this crisis is being used to unite everyone, right? So what's happening in Sri Lanka is a diverse working class coalition is protesting against what the government has done for like the past decade. That's the good news, right? So like the good news is, like, regardless of whether you're Tamil, whether you're Muslim, whether you're Sinhalese, whether you're Burgher, doesn't matter. Everyone is basically fighting back against the Rajapaksa government. That's the good part, right? Now, the other thing to keep in mind is that the situation is super volatile, right? People can't afford food, they can't afford electricity, schools are shutting down. The country's run out of petrol, it's run out of gas already, right? So the situation is already super volatile, right? For the most part, they're doing a good job of keeping everything intact, right? The protesters are. But the problem is some of the protesters are also the fascists who elected the Rajapaksa government to power in the first place.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. So basically, part of the reason that the Rajapaksas have really bad popularity right now is because, I mean, obviously because of the stuff they've done, but also because the fascists that elected them to power in the first place don't like him anymore.
But they're not being fashy enough anymore.
Well, actually, that's not the reason.
No, that's not it.
That's actually not the reason. Like, the monks are also being hit by, I mean, the main reason for all this is the economic, like, damage that they've done. Like,
it always comes back to money, doesn't it? It always comes back to that.
Yeah, like these guys really bungled the whole situation, right? Like, they built, like I told you about the airport that's basically empty as shit in the south, right? It's the world's emptiest airport. It was so empty they converted it into a rice silo.
Oh shit.
Yeah. They also built like a tower in Colombo called the Lotus Tower. It's never been used for anything. They just built the tower and that's it. It's never been used for anything else, right? But they've also did something where, so they basically overnight forced farmers to switch from chemical fertilizer to organic fertilizer overnight. The president was like, yeah, no, you guys are done with this chemical fertilizer shit. You're gonna use organic fertilizer now.
Well, I agree with the organic fertilizer. I mean, giving people time to retrofit and do what it takes to make that happen would probably be a good idea. Just saying, like,
Sri Lanka had a 100% rice self-sufficiency. They were 100% self-sufficient on rice. That completely destroyed it. Now it got to the point where they were importing rice from India.
Oh, Jesus. So now it's lowering the country's GDP just because they're having to pull from other countries to fulfill their needs there. Yeah,
exactly. The current economic crisis in Sri Lanka is basically out of money. They can't buy anything. They don't have any dollars to buy anything from abroad effectively. And that's essentially the situation that's going on.
Oh, because they're tanking. So they're tanking. Yeah. The rich people are like, get these fuckers out of here. Like, my investments are going to shit.
Exactly. So by the way, you're seeing this conflict, by the way, because it's hit Colombo now. It's hit the richest part of the country. No one really talked about how this has already hit the northern parts of the country for a very long time, and people there struggled a lot.
And we talked about that. That's because of them being the lower class, poorer populations. If I remember,
I mean,
right.
It's not just that. There's the ethnic component to it as well.
And the ethnic component as well. Yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, like that's like and also the other thing to keep in mind is like Sri Lanka is actually the first country in South Asia to liberalize their economy. So Sri Lanka was actually the first one to liberalize their economy. The irony of it all is the official name of Sri Lanka is the Democratic Socialist Republic of Sri Lanka.
Oh my God.
Yeah. They
don't sound like the type of democratic socialist that I would like, or that I would deem democratic socialist, but hey,
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And yeah. The thing is, like, the reason they're called democratic socialists is because they did social democratic reforms like making education free, or like public education free. Now, the thing is, you're probably thinking, well, what the fuck? We have that here in the United States. True to a certain extent, but like you don't have that in countries like India.
Right.
Yeah, India has public education, but you still got to pay for it to a certain extent.
Oh shit!
That's
really?
Like damn as we know it. Yeah, and honestly, like the most like well-off the thing is, a lot of state schools don't get a lot of love in India, especially even in the South. They don't get any love whatsoever. So a lot of people end up studying at what's called CBSE, Central Board of Secondary Education, right? And what that means is basically it's a school system that's run directly by the central government, and it's an English medium school, and it provides better. Like my dad, to give you an idea, my dad was educated in CBSE.
Okay.
Right? My dad is, and when I went to school in India briefly, I was in a CBSE school, right? Because it's the best. Aside from like convent schools, those schools provided you with English education, and English provides opportunities whether you like it or not.
True. Yeah, that's absolutely correct.
That's not DemSoc as we know it. Yeah, no, they just call themselves democratic socialists while actually being fascists. Like, let's be honest here.
Right. Yeah,
It's like when North Korea calls itself the Democratic People's Republic of Korea. Like, bitch, you are not democratic.
Nothing democratic for shit.
Nor are you the People's Republic of Korea. Get the hell out of here.
Jesus.
But yeah, that's so. Yeah, Sri Lanka is like a topic that hits home for me. It's kind of like how the National Socialists. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Exactly. It's like, it's just, you call yourself socialist, but it doesn't mean anything, to be honest. Yeah, I mean, like that. So Sri Lanka is also like a topic that hits super home for me, right? Because like I happen to belong to the persecuted ethnicity that is like in Sri Lanka.
Yeah, no, and that's very relevant. I love that you've been able to share so much of this because, again, like you were saying, it's not in the media. Like, I didn't really hear much about this until I heard you talk about it. Like, and that's what really intrigued me, actually. And I'm glad you popped in tonight because I was planning to have this conversation with you at some point. But I'm glad that it happened sooner than later because I think it's good that people do get some awareness to this. I'm glad that they're finding some solidarity with one another in the country, you know, due to the whole crisis with this guy. But I think, like, one of the things, and I'm sure that you would probably have a better insight on this, but it seems to me that there might be a power vacuum that could be brought on by the removal of, like, this particular family, or a lot of people vying for power after their exit. Do you see that as a potential problem?
I mean, right now, basically the situation is it's a stare down between the government and the protesters. One of the two is going to cave in, right? And right now it seems like basically what happened was the new prime minister Ranil Wickremesinghe was brought in as basically a way to placate the population, because Ranil Wickremesinghe is actually not as, I mean, he's basically like an Obama type figure. It's funny enough that I did an Obama impression earlier, but he's kind of like an Obama-like figure in Sri Lanka. He's very milk toast, like he's at least like rhetoric-wise, he's a very inclusive kind of guy, right? He's like, oh, Tamils should feel at home in Sri Lanka, which is it's a good sentiment. It's not a sentiment that has been expressed by Rajapaksa or many other Sri Lankan leaders, right? So it's a very good sentiment that he wants to make everyone feel included. That's cool. But basically, this dude was appointed by the Rajapaksa family as a replacement for Mahinda Rajapaksa. So effectively, he's still at the behest of the current president.
Yeah.
So, and the good news is that the Sri Lankan people don't buy that for a second. They know for a fact that Wickremesinghe is just, the new prime minister is just there to like shut them up. Right? And the protesters know that, and they're not buying it. So that's the really nice thing about what's going on in Sri Lanka. There's some hope yet.
Is there any, do you see any political will, like, in the near future for the West to help in any capacity in this? Do you think they're just kind of going to be on their own and have to work it out within their government, or do you think there will ever be an interest in intervention. I mean, other than, like you said, the UK has had an interest. But, from like the US or anywhere else, dude.
In regards to what? The current economic crisis, or like the war crimes and the genocide that has been committed in Sri Lanka?
Well, I guess like I would say the war crimes, but I have a feeling you're going to say that's probably not going to happen. But I think that the economic crisis, being that, anytime there's an economic crisis in one country, it can definitely have an effect on others. So I'm gonna ask about that because I think I know the answer to the other.
So you're right. So right now the situation with the other one is like, we got to fix this one first. We got to fix the economic crisis first, and then
right.
Crimes. But again, like that isn't guaranteed to begin with, right? As far as the economic crisis is concerned, basically Sri Lanka is getting loans from wherever it can, and the IMF and Sri Lanka have been in talks for quite a while. And so the IMF is wondering if Sri Lanka can restructure its debt. But part of Sri Lanka restructuring its debt means they have to give up a lot of the social safety nets that they have in the country.
Right.
The things they no longer can provide public education for people, they now effectively have to privatize that, right? And they have to enact a lot of austerity measures, so on and so forth. They basically have to do whatever the IMF tells them.
Mm-hmm.
Sri Lanka has not, I don't think yet they've agreed to anything with the IMF completely yet. They haven't completely committed anything with the IMF yet. China is kind of a very interesting relationship. They basically, a lot of Chinese banks were like, yeah, not our fucking problem after this, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so you're seeing a lot of power moves come from India all of a sudden, because India now suddenly Sri Lanka under the Rajapaksa government has been drifting away more from India's sphere of influence. But now that now that China and the IMF now that China's basically backed off quite a bit, and the IMF is now trying to basically have talks with Sri Lanka, and it's not going all that well. India's been giving basically not necessarily unconditional aid, but they've been giving more generous loans to Sri Lanka to buy food.
Got it.
Right.
Okay.
So it remains to be seen what happens to Sri Lanka. I think eventually they are going to strike a deal with the IMF. I think eventually they are going to strike a deal with India. And I think, especially under Wickramasinghe, if he stays in power for that long, I think you're going to see a Sri Lanka that drifts a little more in the influence of the West and India, and a little less in control of China. But again, ultimately what's going to happen in Sri Lanka is like, they're going to remain neutral for as long as I know. It's kind of unpredictable where it's going to go.
Right.
And the unfortunate thing is, like, the economic crisis will get worse before it gets better, if it gets better at all.
Oof.
So
fuck.
That's sort of the situation that Sri Lanka is in right now. As for the war crimes and whatnot, the thing is, again, it comes back to awareness, right? We're not even at a stage where we can, demand that Sri Lanka be held accountable. Like, we can at least demand Israel be held accountable, or like Myanmar be held accountable, or like China be held accountable for its actions. No one knows about this. No one really knows about this, right? And that's kind of the problem, right? Like no one knows about this, and so we have to raise awareness first before doing anything. You know what I mean?
Are there any I don't know, organizations or charities or networking groups that are working to kind of facilitate pushback, or to help to raise awareness to this? Is there any, like, if we wanted to donate, or like, try to help, signal boost this, what's the best way that people could do that?
So the thing is, I haven't really found an organization that really does that's really signal boosting this, that isn't super, like, I'm still working on trying to find like something that I can signal boost, and I'm still talking with my mod and who's basically been a massive help in all this, right?
Mm-hmm.
And this is also a topic that hits very personally for her, and I've been talking with her, and I'll send you links whenever I have them ready.
Okay.
But the thing is, like, we're talking about something that they like if I'm having trouble finding them, then imagine how hard it is for like someone that isn't in tune with the situation. You know what I mean?
Right. Exactly.
Like someone that knows like a decent amount of what's going on here. I'll do my research and I'll do my due diligence and get back to you on that. And I probably, like, whenever the next time like we have like a roundtable conversation or something, I should probably host one of those. But like, I'll definitely drop a link in the chat, and we can like have like, I might be able to do like a charity stream or something for that.
Oh yeah. Otherwise, send me articles as you get them, and I'll try to keep my finger on the pulse, and use the platform I got here to bring awareness to that. I'm always up for some raising awareness to what's happening throughout the world, outside of our own backyard, and I think it's important to do that. So,
yeah.
This is an important situation, and there were lives lost and nobody held accountable, and now there's an economic crisis in the same places.
Yeah, and first of all, thanks for letting me come on here and like basically yap about this, because like, because the thing is, like, I mean, a lot of people have been protesting, a lot of people in Canada especially have been protesting about this stuff for a very long time. And unfortunately, it's just like a lot of people were like, well, I guess it's not really my problem, that's their problem. It's like, no, motherfucker, we need solidarity here.
Yeah, exactly. Workers of the world unite. Like, it's not just who's your next door neighbor is, because we're all in this shit together, all of us.
Exactly. And the thing is, the thing to keep in mind is, like, Sri Lanka is in a very different situation now than it once was. And so the best thing to do is not to be like, unfortunately, for the time being, if you ask, oh yeah, what about the war crimes that you guys did, that you and your like disgusting family did, or like, what about the war crimes that the Rajapaksa government did? I think there was an article I think there was a news report that basically people were handing out Tamil genocide posters towards like the protesters in Colombo.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing is, that pissed a lot of the protesters off, because it's like, bro, we can't eat food, right? What the hell are you doing talking about war crimes?
Right,
like,
yeah.
Like,
we need to be able to survive right now. Yeah.
Yeah, like, priorities, dude. Now, I can see both of their frustration, right? Because on the one hand, like, guys, we need to fucking eat first, right? We can't like do anything without eating, and we can't do anything without surviving. But I understand the Tamil dude's frustration as well, because, well, if now's not a good time, when is a good time? Because we've been trying to talk about this for the past 10 years, and that was never a good time to talk about this. We were trying to talk about this like day one since Molivaikal happened, and that's never been a good time. We've been locked in prison and we've been kidnapped, right? So it's like, if now's not a good time to raise awareness about this, when is, right?
Right.
And so I also see his frustration as well, right? And so it's sort of a delicate balance where you have to you have to understand, like, yeah, people are struggling to eat right now, but hey, let's not forget about, this atrocity that happened in open daylight while the world watched. Right? We can't let people forget about that, right? Because again, unfortunately, in Sri Lanka, it could very well happen again, because it already happened once.
Yeah, and sounds like there's still a lot going on there. That's there's a, you know, it doesn't sound like it's all stopped per se. From what you're saying, it sounds like there's just other more things that are being more that are more prescient right now. I mean, like you said, you got to eat, so you know the country's reeling from that, and as a result, like you were saying, come together. You know, but those ties, those bonds can easily be broken once there is, you know, economic stability again. You know what I mean?
Right, exactly, right. Those, like, the thing is, if the fascist monks that are like that were protesting project books have picked their replacement and they're satisfied, and a lot of the core like conservative power base is satisfied, once they're satisfied, there's really not much moving from that.
Mm-hmm.
And like that's really the scary part, right? If they're satisfied, then like then the leaders can use whatever excuse they want to, they can just blame the Tamils for their own failures, and here we go again.
Right.
I mean, and that's sort of like the problem that I like. The situation in Sri Lanka has me feeling very cautiously optimistic. Right. I think I want to believe that things are headed in the right direction in Sri Lanka, but you have to be super careful.
Right. It's what do they say? It's the tepid optimism, I guess you could say. You know, hoping for the best, but you know, plan for the worst type of thing.
Exactly.
Cool. Well, anything else you want to talk about, Arun?
I mean, yeah, I mean, other than like, if as far as like serious topics go, I mean, I think I'm all like tapped out, but we can just keep shooting the shit if you want.
Yeah, man. Yeah. But no, I am really interested in what you said for sure, and what you shared with us, and yeah, fuck, I'm high right now, honestly, dude. I'm not even gonna lie. I'm pretty high.
To be fair, I'll probably be super high tomorrow when I come on stream.
And that's exactly the point.
Yeah, I'll probably be like I'll probably be baked out of my fucking mind tomorrow. Let's be honest here. Because I managed to cop some edibles for my friend. My friend's super nice. Like he just gave all of his friends like free edibles and shit. He's like, no, just keep it, dude.
Hell yeah, that's what's up. That's a friend indeed. That's a friend indeed, man.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, he's actually moving. He's moving into the same apartment complex as me, I think, later this year. So yeah, it's gonna be really fun getting like baked at the time.
That's awesome.
And like I believe that he's going, I mean there's also a possibility of having a lot of portobello mushrooms, very safe for work, very safe for Twitch. Portobello mushrooms like from Carl's Jr. or like what do you call it, Hardee's.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Like there's also the possibility of having very safe to eat and totally not psychedelic mushrooms.
Oh, very cool. I'll reach behind me and grab a beer real quick. Give me just a second.
Yeah. Yeah. Portobello mushrooms, shut up and take my money. That's hilarious. That's awesome.
I just got this new beer I haven't tried yet, so I'm gonna see how it is.
What is it?
It's supposed to be like a mango flavored IPA. It's called 1985 IPA.
Mango flavored IPA. That's crazy.
So we'll see. We'll see. I know that, well, they've been adding a lot of like citrus flavors to IPAs. Like there's a lot of like kind of ones that have like a lot of heavy citrus or orange backing to them. So I'm kind of interested to see what this tastes like. Let's see.
Yeah. Wait, what kind of a beer person are you? Are you like a stout? You like a IPA?
I do like IPAs, but I don't like the hoppy ones. I like the ones that have the like hazy IPAs.
Mm-hmm.
Those I'll do. Otherwise, I'm like a, you know, lager, pilsner. You know, those are the ones that I usually go for because they're just easier going down. And living in Arizona, it's so fucking hot all the time, man. Having like a really thick like stout is just, it doesn't feel nice. It's not refreshing.
I guess for me, it depends on like the season. Like if it's like in the dead of winter, like yeah, I'll go for a stout, right? But if it's like in the middle of a summer, then like yeah, just give me like a lager or something with, you know, ice or whatever.
Right.
I'm not trying to. IPAs for me. Again, I'm like for me, I'm just splitting hairs. I'll take anything, honestly, right? I don't really mind. Like I don't really have like when it comes to like, you know, vices and stuff, I don't really have like a hard and set choice, you know what I mean?
Right.
For me it's just like, hey, whatever like cools me off, I'm cool, you know what I mean? Like
right.
Like for me it's like hey, you know, does this put, like for weed specifically, for example, and like does it relax me, does it put me to sleep? I have insomnia like since I was a little kid. Does it do the job? That's enough for me, you know.
Right,
I don't really
right.
make too much of a fuss about it, you know what I mean?
I've started to, like, I think more because I just I had so many strains that weren't working for me for what was going on with me. And it was like, shit, like I need to actually kind of look at what I'm getting and figure out what's actually working for me and what's not. Because the problem that I was having is that I use it for pain now. I smoked all the time when I was a kid. I ain't gonna lie about that shit. I've always been a fucking weed smoker. But when I had to start using it for like medicinal purposes, I started finding stuff that actually worked. And like one of the things that was happening is that I would find strains that would work for the pain, but it would put me out, and I'd be like ready to crash out in the middle of my workday, and it's like I can't have that. I gotta be able to get shit done, you know. So I had to like start looking for the strains that worked for me, because the alternative was you know, being on opioids, you know, and ending up, you know, a zombie on fucking OxyContin or some shit. And I just didn't want that. So like for me, that's why I started paying so much closer attention to strains, like what they did to me, what all like the science behind it, because it was literally like a struggle to find ones where I could actually like get through the workday, you know. I could find weed that take care of my back pain. That wasn't the problem, you know. It was being able to actually function, you know, after I got really baked or whatever, you know. And so like that drew me to sativas, and you know, finding certain sativas that really worked for me. But yeah, you know, that's kind of why. That's why though. But if it was something where I could just be like, yeah, you know, whatever, you know, I just need to deal with the pain at night, I would totally be the same way, because I just smoke and be good about it, you know. But yeah, it was a having to get through everything, you know, having to get through my day and shit, and not having to deal with finding what's that balance, that sweet spot with everything. But now it's good though, because now I know a lot and I can educate a lot, and you know, shit. A lot of people have questions about weed, and it's the one thing that, like, because of that, I can adequately answer that shit.
I gotta figure, I mean, the thing is, like, so I live in a building where they actually don't allow you to smoke. So it's gonna be very interesting about how I'm gonna go about, like, I think there's like a vaporless pen I can get that just it's like CBD that just uses CBD oil.
Mm-hmm.
I could probably use that or something.
Oh, sure.
I can probably just go with that and get away with it.
Yeah, and I mean, if you're just talking about for stoner cast, you don't have to smoke. We're just talking about weed and shit. If you ate a bunch of edibles, nobody's gonna care, you know.
No. I mean, like, I'm just talking about in general.
Oh, in general, you're trying to figure that out. All right,
Yeah. In general, I'm trying to figure that out.
The pens are pretty good because the smell usually won't leave the room, just because it dissipates too quick. It's vapor instead of smoke, so like, yeah, those ones are pretty solid.
Oh, exactly, and it's like, it's great because like it still gives you like a decent high, right? It still gives you. Right?
Oh yeah. Well, some of the ones like if it's like THC, those are testing at like 98, 99% THC. You're getting fucked up off those things. you get a few good pulls, you'll be fucking lit up.
Oh, exactly. Yeah, that's absolutely true. Yeah.
So yeah, like I don't use the pens as much myself anymore because for me, like I want I like the flavor and I kind of like the. I like using all my toys and shit like that, and like I can't do that with the pens, but that's why. I work from home too, so I don't really have to like go anywhere. Like, I spend most of my time at home, and for that reason, it's just like if, like when I went on vacation, I grabbed some pens because easy to throw in your bag and hop on a plane with, no big deal. Nobody says anything about it. They don't care. Not that I'd ever actually take pens through TSA on a plane anywhere because that would be illegal, and I would never do anything illegal. Yeah, I'm just saying that people could do that.
Yeah, we're all good boys and girls. We would never do such.
You can't even do it because it's illegal. Like it can't happen. Like if you tried, like it just wouldn't work.
Yeah, no, people's heads would explode if that happens. Did you bring a marijuana on the plane, or
how many marijuanas did you bring on this plane?
How many marijuana? Yeah.
I always tell this story. I had a friend who we went to his house after we had just gotten real fucking high. And his mom was sitting there in the kitchen, and she sees us and like walk in, and like my eyes are fucking beat red. My eyes always get red when I get real high. That's how you can tell the difference between whether I'm just smoking or if I'm fucking baked. But like I was fucking blitzed, and like we walk in, and she looks over at my friend. She's like, "You just did one, didn't you?" And he's like, "Did one what?" And she's like, "You just did one marijuana." And he just looks at me, and we just started busting up laughing in the middle of the kitchen, and she was so mad. She's like, "You guys, you get out of here. You go find something to do. You just get out of here right now." And she kicked us both out of the house. She's like, "You guys you need to go somewhere. I can't deal with you right now." She was so mad. Oh man. Then we came back and she had dinner ready and shit, and I was like, "Oh, that's what's up. All right." But you just did one. Did one what?
You did a marijuana. you just did a no.
Oh, that shit's great. I love that kind of shit, man. Like,
yeah,
you can tell like the uneducated people from the people who kind of know what's up, their terminology is always so fucked. Like, I heard they were snorting THC. What? Is that even a thing? Do people do that?
I mean, listen, people be trying to snort everything these days.
This is true.
Like, maybe trying to snort Wait, wasn't there like what did they? I think I saw it on the last Stoner Cast. Someone was talking about like they were trying to snort, or no, my friend was talking about it actually. Like they were basically like, oh yeah, they were snorting ketamine.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Oh shit, yeah.
Yeah, they were snorting ketamine. I remember now. And he's like, and his friends were like, "Hey, listen, coffee doesn't give you as many calories, okay?" like, my friend was literally like, "Just drink coffee. Like, why are you doing this shit?" And then his friends were like, "No, coffee. No, listen, dude, coffee gives you way too many calories. It fucks with your gains."
Oh
And it's
no.
like- and
Oh
it's-
no. Please give me the coffee instead. Please.
It's like my friend's like, no, even I have limits, dude. Like, no.
I'll not be doing that today, sir. No, thank you.
I have like so many college stories about like, dude, wild shit happened in my college. I mean, I went to a state school, so of course, like, wild shit was bound to happen.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Like when I was just getting out of high school, I did not go to the university right away. I was out being fucking crazy, doing my crazy shit, but playing in bands and trying to be a rock star and all that shit. But yeah, my the school that's closest to us was ASU, and ASU at that time was the #1 party school in the country. So it was like people would be fucking doing all sorts of shit, like crazy shit. Like it was fucking utter madness just hanging out down there, like if you were down by ASU on like a fucking weekend and school was in, fucking forget about it. Like anything that you could imagine going on was probably going on, drug wise or otherwise. It was just like one of those things, man. It was fucking wild. So I can imagine if you went to a state school, you probably had some pretty good party stories.
Oh yeah. I mean, not just party stories, but not just party stories, but like just in general stories, like just crazy shit people did when they were high, or like either baked out of their mind or when they were drunk. Like I have like there's a story of a guy called Protein Brian. I'll tell you guys about tomorrow. It's just absurd what he did.
Hell yeah.
It's shit straight out of a fucking like comic book. Like
nice. Hell yeah.
Yeah.
I'm excited. I'm looking forward to it. We're gonna have a really good cast. I think you'll like a lot of these folks. If you haven't seen their streams before, like they're all people who I've seen stream or like done something with before. So it's gonna be a lot of fun. All of them are just awesome people. Jay Cook's Nada is awesome. Freems is awesome. Who else did we get on there? I'm trying to remember.
I'm looking at it right now.
Oh yeah, we have what is their name? They have a different name on Twitch than they have on Discord. Mouty's gonna be there. And Terminally Online Leftist, who they are actually more of like a YouTuber, I think.
Oh really?
Yeah, but they're supposed to be pretty cool, and yeah, so we'll have them on. Now them I haven't done anything with, so that'll be interesting because that's the one I haven't really talked with or haven't had any interaction with. But the others I have, so and now you I have, so and I can attest to the fact that you're a cool person. You seem pretty down, so.
I mean, I appreciate the compliments, dude. It's props.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like, I just feel really passionate about certain things, and I just want to talk about it. And you know, if anyone wants to hear me, I'm game. You know what I mean?
Hell yeah, I think dude, I'm glad that you are talking about it. I'm glad that you are. There's not enough people that are taking initiative on issues that aren't being, you know, that go unheard. You know what I mean? So, fuck yeah, I'm all for that shit.
Right, 100%. But yeah, actually, what's interesting is like the last Stoner Cast. I've talked to everyone in there. Like, it's funny the dichotomy. Like,
oh yeah.
Yeah, I think in this Stoner Cast, I don't think I've talked to anyone here. I don't think I've met any one of these guys yet. But it's gonna be super interesting. But like everyone in the last one, like Beer Bash, Seaweed, Aston. I think the only one that I didn't see, I forgot her name.
Pirate Hempress.
Yeah, Pirate Hempress. Yeah, thank you. I think she's the only one that I haven't actually seen yet.
Yeah, she doesn't do political streaming. That's probably why she's a variety streamer. But she's kind of been out of it for a little bit. She's been like, she had major computer problems and life stuff happened, you know. So she was kind of offline for a bit. But she was, she's got a really fun variety stream. And I mean, I don't always watch political stuff. Sometimes I get so burnt out on it. It's just like, I need something else, you know? And one night I was doing the Prime panel stuff that, I don't know if you've ever seen Prime Kai's and his, all the panels he does. But he does walk-ons after his main panels, after the ones that he schedules. And so I was on this kick where I was doing a lot of these walk-on panels. And one of them, like, she was the person that he rated into, and I was like, she's awesome. I loved the whole vibe of her whole stream, you know, and just kind of started talking to her from there, and she ended up being on the first Stoner Cast. She actually helped me flesh out the idea. I did the show initially because I wanted her to come on, and I wanted to do a show with her and some other people about just smoking weed. But yeah, she was the catalyst for the idea.
It's awesome.
And
that's cool. Yeah, no, that's super, super cool. I gotta hold one of these panels one of these days. I don't know what it'd be about, but
just make it about it. You know what the thing is? Like, my panel is like, I love to say, I've said to myself anyways, I haven't said to other people. It's kind of like the Seinfeld of panels, because it's really about nothing, you know? I mean, it's about weed, but it's like, it's an open-ended panel, you know? Like, there's no, like, I'm not gonna come in with questions, you know, and drill you on, like, all sorts of different things, you know, and, like, go around the room or whatever. It's like, you just talk, you know? And when somebody chimes in and they've got a story to tell, everybody kind of listens, you know? And it's just got a natural flow, you know? Any questions I do ask or prompts that I come up with are just like what I am hearing in the conversation. It's just, you know, I ask a question that moves the conversation a little bit, but generally speaking, I just love having like people interact in a real natural kind of environment. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Really don't gotta worry about any of the formalities or none of that shit, you know. Just talk.
Yeah, exactly how it's supposed to be, in my opinion.
And yeah, it's been good, but I would encourage anybody you can do something like that, or even like if you have topical things you want to go over, it's pretty easy. Like the formula would be, if you're going to do it, I would say if you're going to do like topical stuff, political type stuff, just find 2 or 3 subjects you're really interested in, find some good articles about it, and then schedule the people that you want to come on, and that's just talking to them. If you ask me to come on a panel, I'd come on a panel, you know? And most of the people that you've already interacted with, just because you built a relationship with them, would probably do it too, you know? So it's really not too bad to put together, but yeah, if you ever have questions about it, I'm always happy to help.
Oh yeah, definitely, for sure.
But I think once you get like 1 or 2 of your own under your belt, you start feeling real comfortable with it. It's just like, all right, I know what I'm doing now, you know. But like, I know for me, it was real daunting at first because I kept toying with it. I'm like, should I do something? Like, should I do something bigger? Like, I don't know what I'm fucking doing, you know? Like, some of these people have been on here 2 or 3 years before they ever did any kind of panel or anything. You know what I mean? And I'm sitting here like, all right, well, I don't know, but you know, like, I just take the leap and you do it, and like, then after that, it's like, why didn't I just do this before? It's not that hard. So.
Yeah. Oh yeah, definitely. I'll like, I don't know, like, my schedule is like my schedule for streaming is usually like super whack because like a lot of my audience like is in India right now, right?
Right.
And so like a lot of the people that watch me live in India, and so basically I stream at like usually right now is usually when I would end stream on a weekday. So I usually end stream at like 2:30 to 3 or like 1:30 to 3 around that time. I usually start at like 10:30.
Okay.
And it's basically because like everyone that watches me is like basically in India. All my mods are, I think, yeah, all the mods that are like active in the chat are all in India at the moment, right? And so like because it's like super India focused, and because I literally have no other time to like because I literally don't have any other time I can talk about this other than like, you know, mornings on, you know, the weekends, right?
Right.
And like at that point, like on the weekends, it's like, well, I've just been talking about politics all week. I just want to play video games, right?
right.
Because the thing is, like, I like my streams are like they're more on the short end. Is this Arun still? Yes. Damn, that's aggressive. It's like, damn, do you want me off for something? Shit.
Actually,
Damn,
I think
okay, I feel you. Okay. Like, no, the thing is like, no, my streams are actually like super, they're on the short end. They're usually 3 to 4 hours rather than like I know like plenty of people that go for like 6, 7, 8, 9 hours and shit. Son.
right.
And it's just like, I mean, I guess at this point, like they do streaming as like a full-time thing, so I guess they have the time to do that. And like that's like something I wish I had, you know what I mean? Like I wish I could like just talk about like Indian politics, or like I wish I could talk about like this stuff like on the daily, just for like, you know, for a job, and then like just do like react to like shit post memes and stuff, and just like, yeah, that would be the dream. Just talking about like, you know, just talking about like how ridiculous shit is and like how ridiculous people are being, and then, you know, like just reacting to memes and stuff. That'd be like the dream, you know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. No, I mean, I do stream a lot, and I probably stream more than I should because I also work a full-time job, but like,
oh yeah, so you know the struggle. Yeah,
but it's just weird. Like, so I've gotten to the place where it's so streamlined for me now that it's like, because I don't really, I've never been big on like super watching a bunch of TV. Like I'm one of those people that like, I like those, like the Sunday movie channel shows, you know what I mean? Like The Sopranos or Game of Thrones, or, you know, those types of shit. But aside from that, I could give a shit less, you know? I watch football during football season, you know, and I like the news, but a lot of that stuff I can get online anyways. So it's like, when that happens, it's like fuck, you know, okay. I don't like, every time I think that I'm gonna have a need to like spend more time away from streaming because I have other things to do, I end up just sitting here like, oh, there's nothing else to do, so I'll just flip shit on. But maybe that's because I'm super efficient. Well, it's really because I don't have anything else going on in my life. You know, I'm a dad, so it's like whatever my daughter wants, and she's at that age where she takes care of herself, you know. So I'm just kind of like, I just gotta sit here and be, you know, and like when she needs me, she needs me, and otherwise it's just doing me. But yeah, so
Oh,
I
yeah.
get to spend more time on stream.
I mean, does your daughter? I'm guessing your daughter does not watch your stream. Like,
Oh, she's 12 going on like 32.
oh,
So
oh, okay, wait.
she's actually been on my stream several times. She used to come on
Oh.
all the time and say hi to people and stuff like that. And you know, obviously I don't smoke while she's on, like, comes on stream or whatever, but she knows what's up. You know, she's not dumb. I've never lied to her about like my weed smoking and stuff. So I've never put it in her face, you know, but I've never lied to her about it. You know, I just tell her the truth, you know, because it's
Yeah.
easier that way. And like, I don't want her to feel like you know, her dad's like doing something wrong, you know, and I've always just been rather pretty open about it. But then again, as long as she's been alive, I've been a medical marijuana patient and lived in a legal state, so kind of changes things a little bit, you know. Technically, I haven't ever been breaking the law since, you know.
Yeah, I mean, that's like that you like. That sounds like you're a wonderful father. I'm just gonna be honest. Like that's just awesome. Like, it's very wholesome to hear. It's so cute.
Yeah, she has a lot of fun. She actually, Ormy, one of the people in my chat, she knits stuff, and she's really good at it. And I've known Ormy since I was in 5th grade, so it's kind of cool that she like hangs out in our chat and stuff. But she like knitted my daughter like some stuff for Christmas, and she knitted me a little Bernie Sanders and stuff, like all sorts of stuff. She's so neat. But whenever like Kaya comes on stream, she like Ormy gets super excited. She's like, "Oh my god!" Because Ormy's been seeing pictures of my daughter since she was like a baby, because we've been friends forever. You know what I mean? So she always gets so excited. You know, it's like kind of a neat experience. You know?
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's awesome. I gotta get. Who was it again?
Which one?
Was it-
Ormy?
I gotta get them to get me something.
Oh, she will. She's really good. She's like, do you have my stream up right now? Can you see it?
Yeah, I do. Yeah,
So
I
this
do.
is the Bernie Sanders that she did, and I even have a mask for it too.
Oh shit.
She went all out. Got the glasses and everything. I smushed the glasses kind of, but
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's awesome.
so like, and the she does a really good job. Like all the like, it's knitted really tight. You know, like you can tell nothing's coming apart on a sucker.
Oh yeah.
But yeah,
Well,
she does all sorts of stuff. She did a dragon for somebody in the Discord recently. I think it was Smash. Was it you that that Ormy did the dragon for? I think Smash is in chat right now. But yeah, she does all sorts of stuff. She does, like, I showed Salad Fingers one time on stream. I don't know if you ever seen that. It's like a YouTube cartoon series. Real fucking creepy. But I was like, I've always been a fan of it. Like, and she knitted me like a Salad Fingers. And I'm like, whoa, what the fuck? Like, how did you even find this? Is just some character off a very obscure cartoon on the internet, you know? How did you even find a way to make this thing? But she did, you know? So, yeah, no, throw her some stuff, because she legit will do it just for, I think, cost of shipping usually. Because she just likes to do it. So if you got ideas, throw them at her. She'd be so stoked to do it.
Right. Oh yeah. Yeah. No. Maybe I can get something from them. Yeah, that'd be great. But yeah. Basically, that's like. Yeah. I've been like Twitch. I mean, I'm like super tired right now.
Oh, you're good.
Yeah, no, it's like yeah. I mean, right now, like, I feel like everyone's in a comfy place right now, and it's really cool. And like, so the weird thing is, I think the way we all met was like I was just like, all right, I just like happened to stumble upon like Beer Bash's, like one of Beer Bash's streams, and I was just like, hey, what's up? And then we just started talking a little bit, and then shit popped off from there. And yeah,
you know,
regret it.
That's interesting. Beer Bash seems to be the catalyst for a lot of like friendships and interactions that I've made on the left side of Twitch politics as well.
Yeah,
sure.
Beer Bash is like he's just a very chill individual. He's just a very, very chill, and he's a very knowledgeable individual. Like,
yeah,
he's just, and like, and the weird thing is that like there's a lot of like there's like a lot of F1 racing fans in my community. Like, my mod is like an F1 fan. Yeah, and like I guess if you want to count streamers as part of the community, like Boy Meets Mini, Beer Bash, like plenty. Yeah, there's like there's this Indian like F1 racer, but not F1 racer, but like there's a guy that plays F1 simulations in India that's also part of this community. It's very interesting how many racing guys are on Twitch. I've tried to get, like, they've been trying to get me into F1. I'm like, this stuff's too complicated for me. Like, I'll just stick with, like, if I'm gonna watch a sport, I'll just stick with football, honestly. Like,
right.
Like,
I think it would be fun to do the sim racing like they do. Like, I really do want to do that because that looks like it's a fucking blast. But I don't know if I could watch it. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, 100%. Oh my God, the National Review wrote an article on Sri Lanka. Oh Jesus Christ. Ugh. These guys. Okay, well. You want to guess the headline? Sri Lanka's collapse and the end of globalization.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
It's interesting how it always is going to center on money, right? Like, there's so much more going on to that, and it's like,
yeah, it's just like, ugh. It's just like, when people talk about this, it's just like, hey, what's the easiest way? What's the most politically convenient way of talking about this? What the crisis in Sri Lanka means for the whole world. How did we get here? After a quarter of century of civil war has created a legacy of violence. Okay, well, at least like they're taught, at least they mention it. But yeah, I mean, there's so much more to this conflict that needs to be, or there's so much more of this that needs to be told.
yeah.
And it sucks that it's not being told. Yeah.
At least it sounds like at least there's some articles written to bring people's eyes to Sri Lanka. So maybe while their eyes are on it, we can help to elucidate to some of the other issues. Further the other issues.
Yeah, that's sort of like what I've been trying to do. I've been trying to link. Well, I mean, the link has already been there, but I've basically been like trying to shed light on the link between what's been going on and what has happened in the history of the country for like a very long time. What's the connection? And it's that fascism has been engendered in the population for a very long time, since the 50s, basically.
Yeah, and that's bred the current climate that they're in. You know. They'll I'm sure that these articles are going to twist it up and make it into something about how somebody's not getting rich enough or something, you know. That kind of sounds like when you read that title, that's the total angle I got from it. That's like exactly where I went. I was like,
yeah, it's just like, yeah, I mean, the National Review and like these guys are like on a crusade against like globalization or globalism or whatever. It's like, I don't know. It's just that gave me like Alex Jones vibes. Like that gave me like Sri Lanka is putting chemicals in the water that are turning the friggin' frogs gay vibes. Like that's like that's the vibe that the article headline gave me.
Right. They're turning the friggin' frogs gay.
I don't want them putting chemicals in the water that turn the friggin' frogs gay. Do you understand that?
As he's looking at trans porn on his phone.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I forgot about that. Oh, I forgot he was doing that. Oh, that's true. Oh, my God.
That shit always makes me laugh. I'm like, he was so concerned about turning the frogs gay, but he was so happy to look at trans porn. Like, am I missing something here? Like, what's wrong?
The best part was, okay, so the weirdest part was like when he crashed like TYT's set and he's just like, he was such an asshole towards Cenk, and Cenk threatened to throw hands with him.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And then Jimmy Dore spat in his face at the RNC. I remember that. That was fucking great.
What happened to Jimmy Dore, man? God, at one time, I really liked Jimmy Dore. Like he definitely had some balls, and now he's like fucking.
Here's what I think happened. I think what happened was like his entire shtick was being anti-establishment, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it's not like, the thing is like being anti-establishment is like step one. Realizing the system is fucked is like step one. But it's a matter of like what you which way, like where are you going like with that information, right? Like he didn't ground that in like a either materialist analysis or an anarchist analysis of economics and society. What he did was, well, I guess the Republicans are bad. Sorry, like Donald Trump is like anti-establishment, quote unquote. So I guess I'll hang out with him or something, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he just eventually got his brain broken, I think. And then there's also, in addition to the fact that like, because he's not very substantive in his commentary to begin with, and his entire thing is, there's nothing wrong with like firing from the hip, right? There's nothing wrong with like being emotional, and like I'm emotional all the time, right?
Yeah,
and
same, very much so.
There's nothing wrong with that, but like you got to come correct. You can't just be like, you, God damn it, fuck the Democrats, fuck the Democrats, fuck the Democrats, fuck the Democrats, and then forget why fuck the Democrats. You know what I mean?
Exactly. If you're saying fuck the Democrats and then you're going over to the Republicans and agreeing with them on things that you were saying fuck the Democrats about, like, what? You're a fucking hypocrite. You're a hypocrite.
Yeah, no, and also you just lost sight. You lost the plot. Like you lost the whole point of fuck the Democrats, right? The reason people are saying fuck the Democrats from the left is that they're far too similar to the Republicans, right?
Mm-hmm.
In terms of neoliberalism and in terms of conservative social policy,
right?
Mm-hmm. That's the fucking reason, right? But if you're gonna be like, well, Tucker Carlson ain't so bad, what the fuck?
Yeah, like
this is the same guy that used to literally just shit on cops all the time.
Yeah,
like this dude's from Chicago and he's Irish and he comes from a family of cops. Like this dude used to shit on cops and he used to call them like wife beaters and shit.
Mm-hmm.
It's like this dude's suddenly a conservative now. What the hell?
Yeah, like talk about flipping the script, man. Like what the fuck was that? I don't get it.
So Jason, I actually rated you. Now you can't complain about you not rating me.
Yeah, Sen, that's why I hosted you today, buddy. Because I'm never up late enough to raid your ass at 2:30 in the fucking morning Pacific time. 5:30 Eastern time. That's what he's upset about, because he's like, you haven't raided me. And I'm like, well, I can't raid you, man. Like I'm never streaming when you start streaming. And he's like, that's not an excuse. So this is my abusive relationship with Sen. He's very abusive to me.
So he's your abusive mod? Okay, I got you.
Yeah. He's my abusive mod.
Okay, yeah. No, we all got one of those. Because like my mod, listen, the mod that also gave me like a lot of information about Sri Lanka and was like very supportive of me covering that is also the very same person that walks into my stream and acts as though she owns the damn stream. she literally comes in and she's like, yeah, Stream Mommy has arrived. Stream MVP has arrived. And it's like, what the fuck? And it's like, and then she'll like, so sometimes I'll sit in like my Discord VC and like, so that people like, basically if people want to talk to me, I can drag them in, right? Kind of like how you're doing it right now.
Right.
So, yeah. So, but she'll periodically pop in and then she's like, why aren't you watching the video that I sent you? Or like, why are you playing Elden Ring? Like earlier today, I was playing Elden Ring and she was like, boring. And I was playing Elden Ring with someone. And then she's like, sleeper, right? And then she's like, it's so boring. And then like, the entire like even like I think Aston's mod was also, and she was like Aston's mod was also saying like game of the year. This game is like game of the year, and then my mod was like, no, this is boring. I'm like, what the fuck is wrong with you?
No, see, like Sen won't say that shit. That's Mike. Mike is the one that will be like, this content sucks. Put something else on. Sen just wreaks havoc in my chat and Discord. But Mike's the one that will actually like private message me like, bro, you gotta change this, bro. And I'm like, fuck, Mike, goddamn, dude. Yeah, so
my mod's been pestering me to add TTS for like a super long time. She's like, when are you gonna add it? When are you gonna add it, you lazy bum? When are you gonna add it? And I'm like, okay, I just added it. Like, and
cut
she's
me
like,
some slack.
Yeah, cut me some slack. And like I also don't have a lot of time to work with in the first place, right?
Mm-hmm.
I just do it like I literally have a full-time day job, and then I also have to work out, and I also have to like I have like other shit to do. Like, and then like she's like, oh yeah, you should also edit those 2 videos and then upload them to YouTube. I'm like, this is a 3-hour long video and a 45-minute long video I have to edit. This is gonna take me a little while.
Now, I will say I've lucked out with that because Mike does all that work for me. Like, I that's the one thing about Mike is he's the reason he gets to fucking say shit is because my overlays, most of the stuff that like appears on my stream, like he did it. So, so that's why he gets to talk shit. So, but if she ain't doing your videos, I'd be like, oh, what you busy right now? You want to do some video work? Put this in your portfolio.
The thing is, I think a lot of the artwork that I got is actually from my other mod.
Oh, really?
Like, they're from my other mods. I think the thing that she provided was like, so she's a journalist, right? She's actually like a journalist.
That's cool.
For an article. So she's like a ground source. That's like one thing that she provides for the stream.
Oh, and hell yeah. That's actually really awesome.
Yeah. So like she's actually kind of like so she also like helped me provide like she's actually kind of the reason that I already knew a lot of this information to begin with, but she kind of like crystallized it in my head. Like she sort of helped connect the dots for me basically, and how and she helped me see how that all that was put together basically. But as far as like editing, and she also set up the Discord.
Oh yeah.
Basically, yeah, like that's like the reason like my Discord is like professional. Like it looks pretty good is because of her. She did it mostly herself. But as far as like video editing is like, she's like, no, do it yourself. Like, she's like, no, do it yourself. Like, like discount Hasanabi, like go do it yourself. Like,
oh yeah. All right, I gotta grab another beer. Be right back. Better. I've been smoking these little baby Jeter joints,
oh, true.
and they're fucking awesome because they're all coated in like concentrate and keef, and they're just little tiny like half-gram joints. They give you like five in a little jar, but they taste really, really good. And I don't smoke a lot of flower, but I'm actually really pleasantly surprised with those. I like flower overall. I always have some because I like the taste of it, but I usually like smoking a gram joint or even a half-gram joint. Usually I won't get through. These I actually sat down and smoked the whole fucking thing because they tasted so good. Just a good brand.
I like flowers, but I actually kind of prefer dabs a little bit.
Oh yeah?
Yeah. I'm more of like a dabs or like a CBD, like an oil person, honestly.
I like dabs because they hit faster, but
yeah,
the one thing I notice about dabs is they don't last as long as like a good flower high. Like if you really get high off flower, they don't last as long. I don't mind going back and taking another dab though. Don't get me wrong, because I like smoking weed. So, but that's the only thing that I've noticed where I'm like, I guess could be like one of those things where I'm like, it would be nice if dabs lasted a little more.
Oh yeah, I mean, if I want something that's pretty long lasting, I'm just doing an edible for the record. Like,
true.
Like, I'm just gonna, if I want something that's super long lasting, I'm just gonna do an edible. Like, it'll just like, my first edible like was in college, and I made the mistake of overeating on an edible.
Oh shit.
That was painful. It was one of the most painful experiences. Other than like basically nearly breaking my ankle. Yeah, that was the other painful experience. Basically, yeah, I overate and like I basically had to climb my ass because one of my dorm room was like a bunk bed and then like a regular bed, right?
Mm-hmm.
So basically what happened was I was like, I was fucked out of my mind and I couldn't get anything like out of my stomach, right?
Oh man,
I
just you were just so full, like with food and shit.
Yeah, I was like super full and like it just like it fucking hurt so much. Like I was so hungry, but I ate so much and it was just like painful. Like it was just a painful fucking night. Yeah.
Yeah, I know that feeling. And then when you try to go to sleep, you try to sleep, like you can't sleep right. There's just too much there. There's too much like going on. Where you like wake up with heartburn or something. Oh god, it's the worst. It is the worst. I hate that feeling.
Yeah, I think that single-handedly contributed to freshman 15. I think that's like the reason I gained 15 pounds in freshman year. No, I didn't gain 15 pounds. I actually didn't gain all that. I actually didn't gain all that much weight in freshman year. It wasn't until like recently I gained a shit ton of weight. And that's because like, so I have like crippling ADHD, right? Like severe ADHD. And I used to take Adderall and Vyvanse for that, right?
Oh shit, yeah. So you're on some fucking heavy dose stuff.
Yeah, it was brutal, right? And like it helped, right? Because before that, I was like, I had zero filter. Like whatever was on my mind was popping straight out of my mouth, right? and like I said some like asshole-ish things back in high school and college. Like I said some really stupid shit back in college, like idiotic shit. But the Adderall and the Vyvanse like helped me realize, oh shit, there's a filter in my head. I should probably use it. And then, but now going off it, like it still works to a certain extent. But yeah, like I don't know, like I forgot where I was gonna go with this actually. Yeah, I was gonna say something about that and like weed or something. I don't remember.
Weed help with the filter?
Yeah. I mean, I think weed kind of helps with the filter a little bit every now and then. So, or like it just like cools me down to the point where it's like I don't really feel like talking to anyone.
Right.
Yeah.
I feel that. That. Sometimes I get to that point where I'm just like, fuck it. I don't got anything I want to say to anybody. Just leave me alone for a little bit, you know?
Yeah. But yeah, like yeah, it's always interesting to see like the people that are like not in touch with like that are like not with it with regards to like weed. Is just always interesting to see like oh, did you eat the one marijuana? Or like, did you eat that? How many marijuanas did you like eat today? Or
right.
Is like, honestly, I don't think I've encountered too many people like that in real life. Honestly,
not anymore. Like I would say when I was younger, that was an all the time thing. But now since I've gotten older, like even people that used to be that I knew were very like either anti-weed or just not really up to date on things. Even now, it's like they at least know a little bit to know some shit. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
So we don't get away with those folks too often anymore. But I mean, I'm in Arizona, so you know, it's like we fucking fully recreationally legalized. So like, I mean, I'll go into Dispo and I'll see like 80-year-old grandma and grandpas in there and shit, dude. Like, no lie. Like, you know, so it's like all different types now, you know, now that it's legal, you know, you'll see the Scottsdale soccer mom, which Scottsdale here is like the rich area, you know. You know, soccer moms will be in there getting their little edibles or their little fucking pens or whatever, you know, like it's just like one of those things. It's like a totally normal part of society. And so I think a lot of the ignorance was bred out when that happened, you know, because people could go in and just ask the dispensary if they wanted to know, you know, or you know, at that point, then there's articles and more conversation about it. So it's easier to like educate yourself on it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh, 100%. Yeah. Actually, the thing is, I haven't really been to a dispensary nearby. I really should.
Oh, what are you comfortable saying where you're at? Like state or whatever?
I live in the DC area, but
okay, all right. Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, there's plenty of them there. There's plenty of them here.
I was gonna say, yeah, DC, you should definitely be able to find something.
Yeah.
Fuck yeah. Yeah, I would.
I live in the heart of corruption here.
I would totally check out the dispensaries. Like the first time I went in, like my eyes welled up because it was like, I mean, I had an undesignated felony for fucking weed, you know? Like I lost jobs and shit because of weed. And then like I got a card, you know, and I'm walking into this dispensary and I'm looking around and it's just like all these strains and it smells amazing. And, you know, like I'm sitting here still like sketched out, like, you know, I was just like, cool. I'm allowed to be here now, you know, like it was just such a surreal experience to me. It was pretty awesome though. I can't say I was mad at it.
Yeah, it's totally liberating. Like once you realize you're able to do this, And actually, the thing is, so I forgot to show. Like, there is like a practice in India where, especially on this holiday called Holi, you basically drink an edible, and it's called, the drink is called bhang. It's Bhang.
Bong. Yeah, you know what? They have a brand here called Bong that makes really, really good edibles. They're like incredibly fucking strong. So that's interesting.
Bong Nation, yeah. I think that's where they stole it from, yeah.
Yeah.
Or I think that's where they got it from, yeah. That's basically it. Like it's basically like you go to India and like it's basically it's hemp. It's like it's weed infused with you can either infuse it with milk or you can infuse it with like you can just have bong. It's like it's basically a way of like getting high during like Holi and shit.
Mm-hmm.
It's fantastic.
Nice.
So
like you get high with like the elders and shit then, right? Like because it's kind of like everybody is doing this as part of the like sacrament or religious celebration.
It depends on the region. So ironically, it's in the most conservative part of India where this is allowed.
Wow.
It's yeah, it's because that's where the thing comes from, right?
Mm-hmm.
But in I think in the state where I come from, it's not as easy to get. It's not easy to get ganja. Or weed, yeah.
Right. Oh, believe me, I'm very proficient in if there was a language that was weed, I know that language.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. No, no, I just like no. It's just like my brain switched off for a second, and I forgot that I was speaking English. I was I just forgot I was speaking English. I'm like there's sometimes when I'm like speaking the word for the word that I'm looking for in the Tamil language comes to me quicker than the English language, right?
Sure.
So it's like, oh, weed, and then like for some reason the word ganja just helped, like it just hit my head first. And I'm like, oh, ganja.
Oh
right?
yeah.
And I was like, oh fuck, that means weed.
I picked up on it right away. I was like, let's
yeah, no,
go,
I
baby.
figured
Let's
you would,
go.
but like, yeah, like, no. The weird thing is like, yeah, no. The weird thing is like, if I was white and I said that'd be a little more suspect because it's like, oh, why are you trying to say ganja?
Right,
like,
right.
You trying to be hip or cool, but it's like, oh no, this is like it's just a different language.
Yeah, that's funny. That's awesome though, man. Like I would be interested in trying that. Like I don't know, I got this thing about I still want to go to Machu Picchu. I want to do the what is it? Why am I drawing a blank now? Ayahuasca ceremony. I want to go do that shit too.
Oh yeah, I gotta try that shit.
And it seems like it'd be a really cool experience, like to also to take the trek down there too, like because the pictures I've seen of Machu Picchu, it's fucking beautiful. Like I'd love to go into that area of Panama, fucking hang out and see some beautiful, rich green, like fucking rainforest type shit with these beautiful structures. Like I live in a fucking desert, you know. so I see brown. That's all I see is like sand and dirt and things people call mountains that are more like hills that are just dirt everywhere. So it's not even just sand, it's dirt.
Have you ever been to like the Pueblo homes?
Yeah, I've been to some of that. There are some cool. I'm jesting. There are some really cool shit to see here. Like,
yeah,
there's these, and I can't remember the name of them, but there are these housing structures that you can go see here, where it was built into this. It was like indigenous people that built this. They had like a whole civilization that was built into this cave, and it's a really cool thing to see. And I can't remember. I'm drawing a blank on the name of it. But it's fucking beautiful. So, and there's like you can go to this place called you have to get like permits and shit, but there is this waterfall that you can hike back into here in like northwestern Arizona, called Havasupai. It's up by Lake Havasu here, and it's fucking beautiful. I mean, there are some really pretty parts of Arizona, but like where I live in Arizona is like I live in a valley because like Phoenix is a valley, and so it's literally just like the worst parts of it because it's just dry desert. See, Phoenix is a city, you know, so there's like, it is a city, but like you're not seeing a bunch of like lush trees and shit like that, not like beautiful foliage or anything like that. I don't know. It seems really sparse sometimes, you know. It's like, damn, unforgiving desert. But
yeah, I actually, believe it or not, so you're in Arizona, right? Actually, my cousin lives in Arizona.
Oh yeah. Nice.
Yeah, he actually, I mean, he goes around like he goes around doing a bunch of or like he's told me about kratom and what was that other kratom and it's something else that starts with a K. Yeah, I
know of kratom.
Yeah, there's something else I forgot. I think it starts with co something. I remember, but yeah, I've wanted to try kratom for a long time. There's like a lot of kratom bars in Phoenix, apparently.
Well, there's a lot of places you can go here to get it for sure. It's everywhere.
Yeah. Surprisingly, that doesn't exist in DC.
Really?
Yeah, I've not found a single kratom bar.
A lot of the people that do kratom, that I know of anyways, are people that were trying to get off heroin, or were heroin addicts, and like that's what they use instead now. So I know it's definitely got some pretty strong like properties that kind of affect opioid receptors. To what extent, I don't know, and from what I understand, depending on what kind of kratom you get, it affects you in different ways. So, but I haven't personally, I've never tried it myself. It's one of those few things I just have never done.
Yeah.
It would be interesting. I wouldn't be opposed to it, but I've never tried it myself. It's fairly easy to get though. I mean, you can get it at a smoke shop. Like it really is just about everywhere. Like anywhere that's like sells bongs or sells tobacco, typically they have kratom too. It's that readily available.
Right. So I mean, you have like bongs here as well, and you get kratom here as well. But they're like actual bars where like you can actually like they serve kratom, like base drinks or whatever.
Oh, really? No, see, I didn't know.
Yeah, they have like kratom bars and stuff. As
they
like
do. It's called Lacuna Cava Bar.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Yeah, Lacuna Cava. Yeah.
Yeah, they do CBD wine too. Oh shit, this could be fun. I have not been here. Ooh, I get to have a night out now. Dude, I'm fucking going to this place too. What?
Yeah.
Let's go.
Yeah.
I'm saying.
Exactly. Like that. Yeah, I've heard a lot about that. I'm like, okay, whenever I fly out to Arizona, I'm definitely trying that for sure.
Oh, yes. This is cool, man. Yeah, they have like straight up, it's like fucking like kratom and CBD cocktails and shit.
Oh, yeah.
I am all about this shit. This is fucking dope. Yeah, I would do it. Fucking hey, man. You ever come to Phoenix and you want somebody to go with you, let me know. We'll do that shit. Be fun.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I hope you don't mind if I bring my cousin there.
Oh, yeah, you can bring your cousin. The more the merrier. The more the merrier.
Oh, yeah, 100%. Yeah.
I got Talarx. Talarx said he's going to come down here and he wants to hang out and smoke.
Oh, yeah,
So I already got a Canadian coming here. So maybe I can get a DC-ite out here too.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Oh yeah, like I'm gonna be honest, like DC's cool, but like I don't know how to DC kind of has like a mix of like LA and New York vibes. Like it's
Right.
got like it's got like the suit culture of like New York because of the because of the politics scene here.
Sure.
But it's also got like everyone's like health obsessed here. I think it was like DC was rated the healthiest city in America, I think, or something like that.
Oh,
The
shit.
irony is, yeah, but the irony was that like the city that I originally came from, Indianapolis, it was ranked the most unhealthy city in America. So, and take it for what it's worth, I got real chubby when I lived in Indianapolis. So
I think that's like Arizona's up there too. Like we're a pretty fat state, obese state, I should say.
yeah.
Which is surprising because it's so hot here. You'd think people would sweat it off, but it's because nobody goes outside 90% of the year because it's too fucking hot.
Oh yeah. I mean, isn't it like I mean, I feel like public transportation would be cool, but like at the same time, like are you really gonna make people walk like in the middle of like 100-degree heat, really?
Well, our public transportation sucks. It's really bad. Like, I wish it was better because, I would probably do more. I would, because it's like, I don't like to drink and drive and shit like that, I'm really cautious about that. Uber's expensive, but our public transit sucks.
Oh, yeah. That is the one thing I like about living in DC. Like, the public transportation, it could be better. Like it could be more expansive. Like New York, you can basically survive entirely on like not having public transportation.
Mm-hmm.
In the DC area, like if you live in the district itself, then you can get around, I think, almost anywhere without having public transport.
Right.
But if you live in like Arlington or Alexandria, you can get around. Like if you live in those two areas, like you basically have like one line in the metro, and that's like a massive problem. Like you really have nowhere else to go. I mean, like if you want to like go around, you basically have like one chance, like you have one artery that you can use to go between stops, and then from there on you just have to walk everywhere.
Oh fuck.
Yeah. So that's like, I mean, the public transportation could be better, but honestly, I'll take it over California or Arizona's public transportation. I'm gonna be honest.
Yeah, no.
Let alone whatever nonsense Elon Musk is doing in Nevada. Like,
yeah. I mean, I don't mind the West Coast, but like, so if I lived in California, I definitely need a car, and I would not be relying on public transportation unless I was in like the Bay Area, because up there they got the BART, and that shit runs everywhere. The BART is great in the Bay Area, but if you're in like Southern California, if you're like in LA or San Diego, good luck.
Oh yeah.
Good luck.
Like,
fucking good luck. Sorry about your bad luck. You're gonna end up with a cab driver, Uber. Like figure it out.
Oh yeah. I mean, LA needs to get their shit together, honestly.
You'd think they'd be better by now too, because they've had a lot of opportunities to invest and like build out their infrastructure for that, and they just haven't done a very good job with it. And I think a lot of it has to do with like a lot of the people who have influence and would pay the taxes and do the things to make that happen. They don't care because they don't need public transit. They just don't care. Like it's not important to them.
Oh yeah, exactly. They don't need it. They drive in their luxury limos all the time. Are they driving their super like luxury cars all the time?
They're Teslas.
They're Teslas. Yeah. Yeah, I forgot. Yeah, Teslas.
We don't need public transit. I'm saving the environment by driving my Tesla.
Bro, honestly, like,
you know that's a real take they have, though. You know that's a real take.
Oh yeah, no, I know. Like, that's so dumb. Ugh. Yeah. I think Vosh did a video showing like the autopilot. Like, I saw like a Vosh video about the autopilot of Tesla and how fucking horrible it is. Like, and like the amount of times you actually need to manually take control of the steering wheel. And they recently, I don't know if you know this, they recently got rid of the gear shift.
Did they? What the fuck are they doing?
Exactly. No, like I'm like, this is like dangerous. Like,
because they've had they've had the fucking screens going out on the car. How are they shifting gears if they can't? If the screens are going out, they don't have another way.
You're gonna love this. The AI, the car is smart enough to detect what gear it should be in.
So it knows when I need to reverse my car. I'm scared.
It, quote unquote, knows. Yeah. But the problem with that is, no, here's the fucking problem with that. If it's completely software reliant, then think about how many fucking surface points of attack you have. Like, now you're able to like completely control, like, I mean, it's not like you couldn't do that with previous cars earlier, but now that like the gear shift is also completely digital, or it's completely software based, you are like, I could with enough time and dedication hack into someone's car and like and just do a collision course if I wanted to.
Oh yeah, that's scary as fuck.
It's super dangerous, and like they're saying that there's a fail safe, but like it's super hard to get to.
Yeah, failsafe don't do shit for me if I already crashed into something. You know?
Exactly. Like, what is the point of you doing all this crap? What is the point of you doing all this shit if like I'm good? Like, this is like insanely irresponsible, and it's like all in the name of innovation. Like, bro, what the fuck are you guys doing?
Did you ever see the video of him talking about when the AI would be fully like autopilot, like the car would be fully autopilot, and it shows him like over the course of several years saying the same things over and over again? Well, it'll probably be next year. It'll probably be next year.
Isn't this the same guy that rants about AI being like dangerous or something? Wait, what the hell is he doing?
But he also thinks we're in the simulation, so that confuses me too. So like, what is it? Like, if you think we're just in a simulation, Elon, then why bother doing anything? Because the simulation will just program somebody else to do it. Like, you just do absolutely nothing, right?
Exactly. You want to know the weird thing though? There's like there's a mall that started doing nearby me that actually started advertising a Tesla competitor called Lucid.
Oh yeah, I've heard of Lucid. I have a buddy that comes over all the time. He's real up to date on tech, and he was talking about them, but I didn't get all the deets. What'd you hear about that?
I mean, I just saw them advertising stuff in the mall, and I just saw like, oh, they're doing this now. They're trying to advertise. They're trying to advertise this car over Tesla, and it's like, oh, okay, cool. Like these guys got to deal with I don't know. I haven't seen much of the car.
Mm-hmm.
I'm skeptical in much. I'm skeptical of Lucid in much the same way I'm very skeptical of Tesla.
Sure. Makes sense.
I think like if you were to get like a very good luxury car, honestly, like Porsche is more than enough. I think like Porsche is good.
Mm-hmm.
Or like a BMW is good. Like you don't need you don't need a Tesla. Teslas are overrated, and they're actually like kind of dangerous at this point. Like,
I think what the linchpin is for people who purchase them is they're looking at the fact that it's supposed to be environmentally sound, right? Or more environmentally sound. So I think that said, like that's what you have to play up to, right? And
right.
if these luxury car companies are doing that, then yeah, why not get one of those, or a Toyota that's doing it, or another company that's doing it. You don't have to get a Tesla. Well, there is plenty of other companies, but
Yeah, my honest like thing is like that's all cool. Like it's supposedly environmentally friendly, but what's the point if like the reliability is shit? Like Tesla, I think is like the worst in terms of like reliability. Like just get a like the thing is like cars are like just massive like sometimes decade long investments. Like my parents uh like they've owned cars for like 13 they had a car for like they had a car that was slightly older than me.
mm-hmm.
Like like that, right? And I just feel like Tesla is not worth the 60. It's not worth that money because if shit happens, then like you're plumb out of luck, right?
Yeah, because then who do you get to?
And like this isn't even talking about the hassle with like car insurance, right? This is not even talking about like the number of calls you're gonna have to make to Geico.
Well, that's the thing with things like Tesla. Like it's everything's so proprietary that you're gonna have to contend with having to go directly to them. And that's to me a part that's bullshit. The one thing that I think happened recently was like there was some changes made to right to repair that hopefully Tesla will have to adhere to, which could help help with some of that. But yeah, like for now though, and probably until however much time the government gives for them to figure their shit out, it's largely internal. Like you can't just take it to any old shop and get it worked on.
Mm-hmm.
That's expensive. That's how they generate residual income, and it's bullshit. If I buy a car from you, I should be able to buy that car, and that's that. Done deal. I shouldn't have to go back to you for maintenance because you're the only person that can maintain the car.
Exactly. I mean, a lot of the stuff in America is just like rigged. Like it just sucks. The other thing, like I have like a rant. I do have to go to sleep soon because it's like 3:22 in the morning.
Sure.
Yeah, so I do have to go to sleep soon. But like there's another like so I have to ask, iPhone or Android, which one do you have?
Android.
Okay, thank God. Okay.
No, I'm anti-iPhone. I worked for Apple for a while. I am so anti-Apple products after working for them.
No, so the thing is like the thing with Apple is they've managed to create like a mini form of classism in America. It's almost astounding like what they've managed to do. So growing up, I was like my parents could never afford like an iPhone for the family. Like they didn't make enough money for that, right?
Right.
So basically like I grew up on Android phones, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so we always just grew up on Android phones, to be honest, right?
Right.
And like everyone in India used an Android phone, right? And then basically what I started noticing is like people take a lot longer to respond to you if you're on Android, or like people like it's very subtle things, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's because Apple has done this thing where they fuck with the color contrast if you're talking to someone that's not on iPhone. They literally make it more irritating for you to read the text if like they break their own like color contrast guidelines to screw with the to fuck with a customer, just to and the reason that happens is like the customer gets annoyed, and then they start bullying the Android guy for
Go
saying
get an
like,
iPhone. Yeah.
"Oh, get an iPhone. What the fuck's wrong with you?" And it's like it works, especially in a country where like 70% of like Gen Z owns an iPhone. And it's like, well, okay, well, you're fighting an uphill battle at this point. Because like that, like the thing is like you no longer get to be part of like iMessage groups. That's gone, right? You no longer get that privilege, right? If you don't have an iPhone, right? You no longer, a lot of socialization, a lot of the ability to socialize is fucking thrown out the window. And it's literally because like Apple wants to make like iMessage proprietary. That's the main reason.
Right. And they want everybody to buy into it, and it's got to be, and they want as many owners as they can possibly get, despite what it does to people.
Oh, 100%.
And that's my experience with them as a company anyways. That's what I know of them as a company in working for them, you know. And they're very open about that. They're very open about encouraging people. Oh, your parents don't have an iPhone? What's wrong with you? Like, go tell your parents they need to get an iPhone. You need to encourage your family, you know, like they should be on Apple products. Why don't they have an iMac, you know, or whatever. Very much so. The corporate culture is just as pushy, you know, like when you're working for them, it's just as pushy. So I know that they're doing that to their customers. You know, they're pretty open about it inside the company, you know.
Wouldn't the reaction be more mean to that friend than to buy an iPhone? Than to bully them to buy an iPhone? I don't get that question.
So they're saying that they think that the reaction would be to be mean to the friend as opposed to bullying them to buy an iPhone when they get the message from them that's annoying.
The problem is, I mean, the problem with that is like at this point in America at least. So like, I mean, yeah, there are definitely going to be groups where it's not like bullying, especially when you get to an adult. That's not the problem. It's exclusion. That's the real problem, right? It's like it works itself in more like subtle ways, right? A lot of opportunities are not as easy to access, right? You don't get to be part of like certain things as easily because you have an Android or an iPhone. It's a small, like it's a first world problem to be sure, but the fact that Apple's managed to do this at all is like terrifying.
Oh yeah, and that they're motivated, you know, to, and that they're motivated to push people out of their social circles just for the appeasement of their bottom line, which is essentially what they're doing when they try to create these kind of weird ass. I want to call it like a software environment. I don't know if that's the best word to use for it, but essentially what they're doing with the messaging, you know, fucking with the contrast, like you're talking about. You know, and the colors, like they're instrumental in pushing people out. You're right. They're instrumental in making a element of some kind of. I think it's more a brand. I would say less classist because you could have a Samsung. I have a dope ass Samsung Note. You know, my shit is fucking lit. But I think what you could make the argument for is that the brand competition is something that they're looking at, and they're trying to exclude people from social circles.
I totally agree. I think the class
through that.
The reason I say
the class thing could be there because Android, you can buy a cheap Android. You can't buy a cheap iPhone. There is no cheap iPhone.
Right, and that's what got the association with. How come they come to that conclusion? No, it's basically because people think Android. A lot of people think Androids are for poor people. That's basically it. It's like there's a subtle hint of like, oh, you bought an Android, you're kind of like a cheapskate or whatever. Like, which is ridiculous, right? I mean, and
well, you're either
again,
a cheapskate or you're somebody that works in IT and realizes all the problems with Apple products.
oh yeah, 1000%.
That's me. I'm like, fuck Apple. I worked for them. I already fucking know all the fucking problems with their shit. I ain't fucking with that shit. I want something that I can do whatever the fuck I want to, and I don't have to worry about the company fucking blocking me because I'm not using their fucking programs or their bullshit. Which also, by the way, lends to your classism argument, is the fact that their apps are considerably more expensive than those on like Android.
Right, exactly. And the other thing to keep in mind is like, this is again in America, right? In India, it's opposite. Like Android dominates in India because again, you can get Androids for cheap in India, right? Like iPhones are super expensive in India, right? And so like, it's like if you have an iPhone in India, you're super balling.
Yeah.
That has nothing to do with the contrast thing. No, I mean the contrast thing is that it's subtly irritating to an iPhone user, right? And the fact that it's an inconvenience to the iPhone user it's a subtle irritation. It's not a problem that Android users have, right? When I text people on SMS, like I don't have that problem. All of them turn blue anyways, regardless whether I'm talking to an Android phone or an iPhone. It's just like whether the blue is dark or light, right? I can read the text just fine, right? But it's more incumbent on the iPhone user, and basically it's kind of like it's kind of like how Karens work. That's kind of like the best way I can describe it. It's kind of like they feel entitled to have everyone in their social circle have iPhones, basically. A lot of people feel that way. There's just a small sense of entitlement. Wouldn't that make iPhone users buy Android? No, it doesn't, because again, they already have an ecosystem where they're talking to people on iMessage. It's easier for them to keep what they have than give it up. You see what I mean? It's about building that walled garden. That's basically it.
Yeah, I could see. I see where you're coming from on that.
Yeah. I don't know. It's just like a weird, like it's just like a tangential, like first world brand, basically. But you know, all right. I really have to go to sleep. It's like
all right, man. You've stayed on so long. I appreciate you, and I've really enjoyed talking to you. And Jesus, excellent insight, man. Love the conversation.
Yeah, thanks for having me on. I appreciate it. And again, like I appreciate you giving me a platform to just rant and like talk about shit.
Oh hell yeah. And you're always welcome back here. I'm looking forward to talking to you tomorrow where we get to have all the fun conversation on Stonercast, so it'll be good times.
Oh, absolutely. Looking forward to it tomorrow. Alrighty. Thank you so much.
Take it easy, man.
Take it easy. Night.